Hey, there's a reason we've got over 10,000 five-star reviews. So come and see, literally, what all the fuss is about. Book a bulk build eye exam today at baileynelson.com.au. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Hi, I'm Jo. I'm a registered nurse and I work with St. Louis Home Care as a clinical care coordinator.
St. Louis was started by my great-grandmother and is one big, happy family with lovely staff just like Jo.
The people that work for St. Louis are very loving and caring.
Whether it's personal care, preparing meals, shopping, home maintenance or social activities, we help people stay at home for longer.
If you're interested, come and join us.
Google St. Louis Home Care today.
Up-to-the-minute news for South Australia. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny and 30 with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brattick.
Keep your body in shape with FIVEAA Extra clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
The opposition claims it's in with a chance when Australians next go to the polls after cutting the government's margin in the Dunkley by-election. Zach De Silva has details.
Labor has held on to the southeast Melbourne seat of Dunkley despite a fall in voter support at a by-election. The federal opposition has picked up an extra 4% of the vote. Nationals leader David Littleproud says if that swing's replicated at the next general election, the coalition could take more than a dozen new seats.
This is really game on.
But Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says that still wouldn't be enough for the opposition to gain a majority in Parliament.
They seem to be trying to be in a position of minority government.
Labor's Jodie Bellier is vowing to focus on the cost of living when she's sworn in as the next member for Dunkley.
Australia's seen a major shift in spending habits since the COVID pandemic. Hairdressing, pet grooming and dining out have seen the biggest increases. More consumers are also opting to buy new cars rather than use public transport. Government ministers and defence chiefs will take the stand this week at the final public hearings at the Defence Royal Commission into Veterans' Suicide. At least 1,667 veterans died by suicide between 1997 and 2021. Royal Commission Chairman Nick Calder says the final 4-week hearing will concentrate on what happens next.
We're at a point now where we must discuss and be clear about the need for something to change significantly once the Royal Commission is finished. What we are recommending to government is the establishment of a body with teeth that monitors the implementation of our recommendations.
A final report is due by the 9th of September. There have been moving tributes to the lives lost on Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. More from Brian Wilson.
Families, friends and supporters of the 239 people lost in the Malaysian Airlines tragedy gathered in Kuala Lumpur to mark the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of the Boeing 777. 6 Australians were amongst the passengers on the routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March 2014. Amongst the tributes, an announcement of a new offer from US marine robotics company Ocean Infinity of another search on a no-find, no-fee basis. While senior representatives of the Malaysian government attended the commemoration, they said that they will not support any search without compelling new evidence. The families of those lost lit 239 candles, continuing their call for answers.
King Charles appears likely to make a trip to Australia later this year. The federal government will begin talks with the states and territories this week in preparation for a royal visit. Charles has put public appearances on hold in recent weeks after being diagnosed with cancer. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $1,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Outlander.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide is set to be without forward Riley Thilthorpe for the start of the season after scans revealed damage to the meniscus of his knee. It's a big blow for the 21-year-old who had been in impressive form in the pre-season. Meantime, Port Adelaide is hopeful Zach Butters will be okay to play in round 1 after he hurt his ankle against Fremantle on Friday night. Let's go to cricket. Nathan Lyon finished with match figures of 10 for 108 as Australia sealed victory in the first test against New Zealand. The Aussies winning by 172 runs in Wellington. Skipper Pat Cummins full of praise for player of the match Cam Green for his unbeaten knock of 174.
He was amazing. He was really the difference in the end. You look at the trend of the game. I think the next highest score was about 50 or 60, and he's obviously put on 170 odd, not out. So it was amazing. I thought the way he went about it as well, that intent, really put the pressure back on the bowlers on day one.
Audio there thanks to Fox Cricket. Let's go to tennis. Alex de Minaur celebrating back-to-back titles at the Mexican Open. The Aussie beating 6th seed Casper Ruud 6-4, 6-4 in the final. De Minaur admitting he's surprised he was able to defend his crown.
I came into Mexico not feeling my best, and just kept on telling myself to keep putting myself out there, keep giving myself chances, and I think today by far I played my best match of the tournament, so extremely happy with that.
Yeah, fabulous effort. And Manchester City's only 1 point behind Liverpool on the EPL table. That's after a 3-1 win against Manchester United. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Mostly sunny and 30 today, sunny tomorrow 33, partly cloudy on Wednesday 30 and 32 for Thursday. At the moment 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
With a push-button electric pop-up
Rowey
roof on
business
Rostrack
sales,
camper,
business
you can
people,
save your
selling
winding
businesses.
strength for
Go
more
on,
important
touch
things
base.
like this massive mangrove jet. Oh, busted me off.
Austrack Campus. Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip, and now there's Barossa Mazda, Murray Street, Nuriapa. SA's newest Mazda dealership is now open. For 40 years, Steinborner has provided South Australians with outstanding customer service, exceptional value, and a large selection of new, used, and demo vehicles. The Steinborner story continues with the opening of their new state-of-the-art Mazda dealership in Barossa Valley. Barossa Mazda. It's well worth the trip. barossamazda.com.au.
You deserve a new car. And you definitely deserve a holiday. You could win a Mercedes and a luxury getaway to the Maldives. But you've got just 4 days until the bonus deadline in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the $3.6 million Scott Salisbury Grand Prize at Henley Beach. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. HomeLottery.com.au. Licence M14493.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. The Lynn Andrews team have seen a lot of change in real estate over the past 50 years, but one thing remains unchanged: our passion to help people invest in their future, to build strong property portfolios in either the residential or the commercial sectors. Our commitment to property investment over the years means we have a wealth of knowledge to share. We're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
If you want to save serious money on your hot water bills, get off the gas. I know what you're thinking, but gas is better. Not anymore. EcoVantage can show you how a heat pump hot water system can save you up to 50% on your water heating costs. That's up to 50%. It's a huge saving. And now it's more affordable than ever to make the switch. Get off the gas to heat your water and get onto EcoVantage. EcoVantage.com.au.
Setting the agenda for South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Monday on 5AA Breakfast. It is the 4th of March. The year is racing along. Lots going on, both in federal and state politics. For the state side of things, we'll chat with Stacey Lee just after 7:30 today for our look ahead of the week. We'll find out who is in the hot seat for her this week, thanks to Keen Office Furniture. Also, we're off to the US in the first hour of the program this morning. Tim Lester from 7 News will get us across what's happening there. Lots of local news too. Plan for big rail expansions. We've got nuclear power plans in Australia. It's Big Plans Monday, it would appear. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. Good to start the week with a big plan, isn't it?
Love a big plan.
Yeah, think big, you know, visualise greatness. I think the nuclear stuff's actually at an interesting point, and apparently Peter Dutton's going to ramp it up this week.
With detail.
With some detail about exactly what they're what their policy is, but I think younger people are actually going to be the ones who play a decisive role in whether this happens or not. You know, you look at the federal government's position, or federal Labor's position, and it's so sort of like it's almost like a museum piece now. It's such a Cold War sort of position, and I would have thought that, you know, at a time when most people say we do need to start decarbonising and trying to come up with more clean ways of producing energy, and indeed more ways, full stop, of producing energy. It's so silly that it's not in the mix in Australia. I mean, Canada's got it. France has got it. And you hear people go, oh, you know, but imagine if South Australia had a nuclear reactor, we'd lose our reputation as a wine destination. Well, if you want to find heaps of nuclear reactors, you know where you go in Western Europe? Bordeaux.
Exactly.
And when you say Bordeaux, do you immediately think nuclear reactor? Or do you think, I'd love another glass of that, thank you? It's such a weird and old-fashioned position, isn't it?
I've never understood the simultaneous arguments in Australia that we have a moratorium on nuclear power here. You know, we're so anti-nuclear, it's enshrined in law, we can't have it. But at the same time, when anyone ever says we should get rid of that, people say, yeah, but there's no commercial case for nuclear power here. Well, you don't really believe the latter if you're defending the former, do you? If you don't think it's any danger of ever happening, why do you need a rule in place to prevent it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the most interesting thing I think at the moment now is the way in which the polling shifted. Now I'm pro-nuclear. I put my hand up and say that. My biggest fear of it being put on the agenda in a real way by Peter Dutton is that I don't know if there's a pathway for him to win the next election. And if he doesn't, it might be the end of the debate for a long, long time, because it'll be championed by the Labor Party as a sign that, you know, this was put up and it was defeated and there was no appetite for it.
I'll tell you what, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot better to win the election than they did in that by-election on Saturday. And I think there's a big lesson for Dutton in that. I reckon the bloke, he's a bit of a one-trick pony. I think that last week, the more hysterical the Libs got about border protection, the flimsier and thinner their agenda looked. And I hope Terry's listening. Terry, are you up? You'll like this. But the guy, you can't chart a way to government purely by trying to scare people about we're under siege. You know, the borders. And that day last week, and I know that the Victorian coppers didn't help them. What a stuff up that was. My God. Where they arrested the wrong bloke. They got one of the former detainees on Thursday, held him for a full day and arrested him over a sexual assault. Turns out he didn't commit it. So the entire day's Parliament was taken up with the Libs, and some of the tweets that were written, like Susan Lee's tweet about it, you know, saying, if you're voting in Dunkley, which is where the by-election was held in Victoria on Saturday, if you're voting in Dunkley and you don't want asylum seekers on the loose, you know, attacking people, you've got to vote for Peter Dutton. Well, like, I know they had their problems with those detainees last year, but that story was completely wrong. And the Libs spent a whole day prosecuting it and ended up, by default, with egg on their faces. But I just sort of wonder why, or how, in the midst of this cost of living squeeze. I mean, we did a better job when we asked Albo politely twice whether everyone was going to get the $275 or not. That's the way you beat the guy. Not with this Trumpian sort of, we're under siege.
Well, the Australian, I mean, it's been a huge political issue in the past, but you can't compare what's happening in Australia to the US-Mexico border.
Oh, no.
And you're not going to get the same sort of political dividend.
Which is a complete disaster.
It is an absolute unmitigated disaster.
You know what's really funny, though? And Trump, being a bigot, lets this fester as a thing. You know who's really upset about illegal immigration? The Mexicans. Because you know where most of them are from? Venezuela, Honduras, El Salvador. So when you watch the news in Mexico, every night the lead item is more illegal arrivals through Guatemala, through Chiapas, through the south of Mexico. So they're talking about all the time too. So most of the ones who actually make it to the US these days aren't Mexican.
They just go through Mexico.
Yeah, so Mexico's just going, well, crikey, we're sort of the meat in the sandwich here. But the way Trump goes on about, they're not sending their best.
Yeah.
Well, they're not actually sending anyone from Mexico, you idiot. It's remarkable.
14 minutes after 6. Love your thoughts, folks, on all that's going on around Adelaide, Australia and the world this morning too. 8223 0000. Maybe you've got a big plan to start us on a Monday morning. It's a big plan Monday today. Rail and nuclear energy got in our immediate future.
Maybe you just want to talk about footy. You can do that. It's good seeing the footy back.
I'm sad about the footy. Riley Philthorpe's got to hurt his knee.
What about that?
Taking the sting out of things for me.
What about that idiot St Kilda player?
Jimmy Webster.
That guy,
I don't know how many weeks is too many for the bump.
I would go double figures. I reckon he needs 10 weeks. I reckon they should rub that bloke out. And they should have a quiet word with his family too. Have you seen some of the social media posts?
Yeah. His family haven't helped him.
No. So he's cleaned up this poor North Melbourne guy.
Jai Simpkin.
Yeah. And I wasn't watching any of this. My son just came in, Jim, and he goes, Dad, look at this. And I'm like, my God. If Powell Pepper gets 4 for what was clearly an accident, what's this guy going to get? It's got to be huge, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a minimum of 6, but probably somewhere in the realm of 8. It's ludicrous. It's a good old-fashioned poleaxing.
That's a 1970s bump, what he did.
Yeah.
He looked at him, he lined him up.
Left his feet. He did everything you're not meant to do. Hit him square in the head.
And the guy's expression afterwards, my God.
Yeah, it's gruesome. That'll be a big talking point this
week.
But
one of his rallies, I think his brother or...
I'm not sure who it was.
Someone jumped on his Facebook or Instagram or whatever and wrote, fair bump, play on.
Tony in Seaton's called into the program. Morning to you, Tony.
Yeah, David, just a quick word. Have you been to the United States?
Yes, I have, Tony.
And what do you think about the situation there in San Francisco and New York and all these places where all these immigrants, illegal immigrants, are coming in?
I think it's really bad. But I think, actually, the problem, you mentioned San Francisco and that, the bigger problem there is drug policy. Giving out, letting people take drugs and doing nothing to combat lawlessness in those communities.
In the last 6 months, 25,000 people are coming from China, from the Mexican border.
From
China? What does that tell you? From China, yeah. And from the Congo, you got people coming there from the Congo, mate. How they getting there?
Well, I think it's precisely the point David was making, that it's more like it's generally people traversing through Mexico.
Tony, can I just cut to the chase? You're upset, aren't you, because I said something rude about Donald Trump?
No. I just think if we had an open border, even here, I want immigration here in Australia. I'm a Italian background.
Yeah.
Okay? But legal immigration, not illegal immigration. Because we have to know who the people are coming in. I had this argument with Amanda Blair one day on FIVEAA. She ended up crying. And I said to her, look, I'm all for immigration, right? But in the last 12 months, if you look how many illegals have come in, 3 million have come into the United States.
Mm. Who are you arguing against,
I think
Tony?
we agree with each other, mate. I think we agree. I don't know why I don't know what I said to upset you.
I might have missed out some of your conversation there, but anyway, look.
I was just saying that the Mexicans are copping it from the south. That's what the only point I was trying to make was that the Mexicans are just as worried about it because their country's under siege at the southern end from all the people from Latin America, from Central America and South America. But no, I reckon we're in full agreement, mate. Good on you, Tony.
Okay, no worries, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Good on you, Tony. 8223 0000. That was sorted out in a very civil way in the end.
That's right. I was going to go off on some mad tangent, but no, we patched that one up.
You can also text us on the Dutton's text line, Big 10 Ford, Jetom, Haval, Hyundai, Isuzu, Ute, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Subaru and Volkswagen. Dutton's, easy to do business with.
Still thinking about a sea change? Think Oakford Homes in Counter Bay. New stage released and selling fast. A variety of block sizes available in a friendly community with brand new low maintenance homes plus the beach close by. Affordable packages, no surprises. Move in now or invest for the future. Fixed price turnkey packages, flat land ready to build. Don't miss out. New stage now released. Visit our display village at Encounter Bay. Oakford Homes, a statement of quality. oakfordhomes.com.au.
I was just doing my job. I didn't think I'd get injured.
The doctor said it was a routine procedure? Right.
The car came out of nowhere and it smashed right into us.
At DBH Lawyers, we're here to listen to your story. Our team of local South Australian lawyers will help you navigate the law and find the best way forward. We're with you. We're for you. We're DBH Lawyers. dbh.com.au.
Cut through the background blah and hear what you want to hear with Specsavers advanced hearing aid technology. Whatever your lifestyle, Specsavers have a wide range of hearing aids to choose from. There's rechargeable hearing aids, those that stream music or movies, one good for at home and others suited to the great outdoors. And better yet, you won't be charged extra for your preferred fitting style or colour.
You'll find audiology professionals in almost 300 stores across the country, ready to support you on your journey to better hearing. At Specsavers, they encourage you to shop around and compare their everyday low prices because you shouldn't pay more than you have to.
Get the quality, value and care you deserve. Find out more in-store or see specsavers.com.au/hearing. Always follow the directions for use.
It's Ian Healy, and I'm here to talk to you about back pain and Keyser. If you're one of the 80% of Australians who suffer from back pain, it's tempting to do nothing. But this can cause weaknesses down the road. The best place to start with back pain is exercise, and the best place to exercise is Keyser. Keyser's physios and Swiss-designed strength training equipment help you build strength in a supervised environment. I go to Keyser, and you can too, at our new clinic in Norwood. Book your initial assessment at keyser.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 after 6 news headlines on this Monday the 4th of March. The full artist lineup for Adelaide's Live Golf Tournament has now been announced, and it will be headlined by...
Shut up,
with
she's very
Dance Monkey.
popular. Actually, she has done a good cover of Down Under by Men at
Is that
Work.
right?
Now, I only heard it last night for the first time on Channel 9.
I'm not aware of that.
It's their official ad for their coverage of the Olympics.
There you go, Tones and I.
And it's good, it's good.
The night that Tones and I is playing at Live will be Friday, the 26th of April. Gee, that's getting close as well. 10 regional leaders will start arriving in Australia from today for a key economic and security summit in Melbourne. It's called ASEAN. The 10 Southeast Asian nations represent Australia's fourth largest trading bloc. The Prime Minister will hold key talks with each leader to forge closer relationships with them. Myanmar has, however, been excluded as it shows no signs of winding back its military rule. This kind of thing, it's always the foot of second break news item or you know, I don't know how many pages into the newspaper. You might have a point you always talk about things that are worthy, that aren't interesting, get put.
Dull but worthy.
Dull but worthy.
DBW, page 2 all day.
This is a dull but important story because
Well-
if you want to resist Chinese interference in the region, you want to develop a coalition of countries that's broader than just the United States. These things are hugely important.
What about Marcos's son, Ferdinand Marcos's son,
he's been here.
the president of the Philippines? He was in Australia last week. Got to address Parliament. Someone held up a placard telling him to go and get stuffed. But other than that, it went without.
Were they from the Greens?
incident. Yeah, they were.
Geez, the Greens did well in Dunkley, didn't they?
They almost got beaten by the margin for error. They got 6% or something. No, less than that. Didn't
They might be in for a serious reckoning at the next federal election, the Greens.
Well, you know, the person who did the best job campaigning for the Greens at the last election, he's just left politics. His name was Scott Morrison. With ScoMo out of the picture, I reckon the Green vote halves.
Yeah. A third of Australians are considered obese. 2.5 million more than a decade ago.
It's a bit judgmental, isn't it? Who's considering them obese, and by what
health experts?
By what measure?
Famously bigoted health experts.
By what measure are they defined as obese?
It's a great question. Health experts are encouraging people to monitor food intake and exercise levels to curb the growing rate of those considering at risk of diseases. One-to-one diet spokesman Tamar Lyman says obesity can lead to major health issues.
A huge drain on the Medicare system. It leads to type 2 diabetes. It can lead to sleep apnea, hypertension, high cholesterol, stroke, so many different sort of health issues that we have to be aware of.
Hopefully it's not BMI they use. That's not that's not worth the paper it's written on as a measure.
I'm just doing the pinch test on myself. I reckon I'm on the border of obese
No, you wouldn't
by
be.
the definition.
No,
And I
you
reckon
wouldn't be. No, you wouldn't be obese. No, no.
188 centimetres, 90 kilos.
Nah, no chance.
You reckon?
Nah.
Okay,
You'd probably be
that's good.
Yeah, you wouldn't be considered obese. I
Don't
wouldn't
have to
thought.
rethink my hot date with a quarter pounder with extra pickles and bacon later today. Then
Australians are spending more on dining out than since the pandemic. The annual Consumer Price Index from the Bureau of Statistics typically shows a gradual inflation in consumer habits, but there's been a major change since 2019. There's been a 19% increase in spending on restaurants and takeaway meals worldwide. I've got it. There would have to be takeaway would have to be the biggest component of that, surely.
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
People Uber Eats anything these days. It's
That's
crazy.
Right. Shopping.
Yeah.
I wonder if shopping gets captured by that, because a lot you can Uber Eats a Foodland order.
Yeah. Oh, how often you go to your local supermarket these days and they're standing there bagging things up for an invisible customer?
Because that
Sometimes you
doesn't
go,
pass with
Why
me.
can't you serve me? What are you doing over there? But then the Uber guy comes in.
That's right.
And it
Yeah, the Uber
vanishes.
guy comes in. With the number of restaurants that are closing and what we know about consumer spending, I find it hard to fathom that people just going out to dinner more often.
Yeah.
It must be...
Well, it feels like every week there's a story in the Tiser about some local cafe or restaurant shutting down. So where's all that money being spent?
Yeah, I reckon it has to be on that the Uber Eats economy. I think you're absolutely right. Let's check the weather out there. It is currently a cool 15.9 degrees, top of 30 today though, and what is a week that'll have has a 3 in front of it every single day. The max 33 tomorrow, 33 on Wednesday, 32 Thursday, 34 on Friday, 37 on Saturday, and 33 on Sunday. So it is going to be a warm week ahead. Tom Wren's in the FIVEAA Breakfast Studio. Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $1,000 fuel card on the 2023 Build Outlander. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Loads of winners and losers,
Yeah.
so should we get into them? Let's
Fire away.
start with the football. Crows and Port, we'll give them both a tick, both winners, because they both did win on the weekend. Port, 39 points. Crows, 67. Plenty of positives for both sides as well, albeit I'm not sure how good particularly West Coast are going to be. I think they're in for another tough year.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, bottom four.
I'm pretty sure.
Bottom two.
They're going to be horrible.
Yeah, they're not great.
Harley Reid, though. My
looked
God.
right. Yeah.
How is that kid 18 years of
I
age?
know, he's built big, isn't he? And there was a great little one-on-one with him and Rory Laird at one point where Laird sort of gave him a bit of a what for. You know, it was a bit of the old and the young bull and the old stager going head-to-head, and he didn't hold back. It was great. But look, there's no doubt the two losers and downsides for both, and in particular we'll start with the Crows. Riley Thilthorpe, who'd been having such... We spoke about him at length last week.
Well, that did it.
You know, the
We
meniscus.
jinxed it.
Yeah. The meniscus in his knee, I'm guessing maybe a month, 6 weeks perhaps.
The thing that I don't like about it, Rennie, was in the media release that the Crows put out, they said, well, they're awaiting opinions to work out how long he's going to be out for, which has to mean that one of the opinions they're hearing about is surgery.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just it sucks because he was one of the most exciting things that I think most Crows fans were looking forward to seeing early this season.
It was really disappointing. Last quarter as well, the game was done.
Mm.
You know, but you want them redlining, and you know, Campo spoke about that on the coverage. But it's a collision, an impact injury. You can't do much about it. Really disappointing. The night before, Zach Butters went down with an ankle injury. It looks like he's going to play in round one. So that is good.
Well, some people that were watching it online were saying, "Is that an Achilles?"
Mm.
And I saw that, I thought, oh, God, that would be devastating. But an ankle, yeah, you feel pretty good about it in the end.
Yeah, and albeit it happened with no one else around him, but it just looked like he turned it over and hopefully just badly sprained it and should be okay for round one. They were the negatives. The other negative, football-wise, if Sam Powell-Pepper gets 4 weeks, I think Jimmy Webster's in for a very, very long holiday. I don't know.
Oh, no, they should make an absolute example of this bloke. He's a genuine idiot. If he thinks he can play football like that in 2024, he has been paying zero attention.
I can't. It blows my mind.
It was sickening what he did, and the reaction of that poor North player. He looked like was his own Brent Staker after he had his little bump.
Yeah, that's right.
Tate-to-tate with Barry Hall.
Mm-hmm. It was worse because he left the ground, didn't he? You know, I know it happened split second, but it seemed like an eternity compared to the Sam Powell-Pepper one. He got 4 weeks. I think it's minimum. I think it's probably 8 weeks.
Yeah, it feels like at least 8.
6 to 8. I mean, some are calling for as many as 10. So it's...
I'd give him double figures.
I think he's in for a big break. Yeah, it didn't look good. And the look on Jai Simpkin as well, who's had a history of concussion. Not good.
Looked like a Warner Brothers cartoon. Like his eyes were rolling around his head with stars above them.
Yeah, and poor Jai Simpkin, he's a bit of a loser as well. Other winners, Alex de Minaur, he's gone back-to-back at the Mexican Open. That's his 8th career title. Brilliant. Max Verstappen just picking up where he left off, going for 4 in a row. Too good. Liverpool, I know you're a Nottingham Forest man.
You don't have audio of this, do you?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But what was the... I can't remember the player. Clear the ball off the 18-yard line. My God, man. Like, I'd be...
Well, I got up and watched that. Rosie and I sat there and watched that game on Sunday morning and got up and...
How did Rosie take it?
I almost threw my phone to I actually pegged my phone in the 98th minute when they scored the winner.
Oh.
They played so well, Forest. It was heartbreaking, that game. And the stupid ref gave the ball back to the wrong side after an injury stoppage. He forgot who was in possession.
And then Liverpool didn't give it back.
That's right.
Which is a big no-no etiquette-wise.
Anyway, you can say stupid ref from the other side of the world, can't you?
Of course you can.
Aussie cricketers, big tick, Nathan Lyon, 10 wickets. Also, Cam Green, unbeaten 100. He was magnificent. 36ers, give them a tick. And Isaac Humphries for re-signing him for 3 years, which is great. Hannah Green, Aussie golfer, West Aussie. She's won her 4th LPGA Tour title overnight, so really good result for her. Other losers quickly, Adelaide United, terrible. They've lost again. And Will Pukowski, I don't know if you saw in the cricket, speaking of concussion, hit again. It'd have to be more than a dozen now. I can't see how he plays on.
He's got a technique problem.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, he keeps getting hit.
It's a tragedy how often that he's been hit and he's had issues with concussion. But it gets to a point, why does he get hit so often in the head?
It's not good.
It is awful. All right, good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Tom.
Agostina Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $2,000 fuel card on the 2023 Build Triton.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny and 30 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brattick.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
10 regional leaders will start arriving in Australia from today for a key economic and security summit in Melbourne. Michael Packey has details.
This year marks half a century since Australia began diplomatic ties with ASEAN. The 10 Southeast Asian nations represent Australia's 4th largest trading bloc. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will hold key talks with his Malaysian counterpart this afternoon as the summit gets underway. Australia is seeking to forge closer economic and security ties with the region as countries like Vietnam, the Philippines and Indonesia continue to grow. This year, East Timor is taking a more prominent role in the talks, but Myanmar has been excluded as it shows no sign of winding back its military rule.
Commonwealth, state and territory governments will begin talks this week about a potential visit from King Charles. It's hoped the monarch will be able to make the trip this year. King Charles has put public duties on hold in recent weeks while he seeks treatment for cancer. Opposition MPs say they're in with a chance when Australians next go to the polls in 2025 after securing a boost in support in the Dunkley by-election. Labor's held on to the federal seat despite suffering a swing of around 4%. The cost of living and local crime were main issues of the campaign. Nationals leader David Littleproud says the result's a good sign of things to come.
I think Peter Dutton can take a lot out of this. This is game on. This is really game on, and I think it shows that people are hurting out there. The government's been adrift in tackling those cost of living pressures, whether it's be your mortgage, whether it be your power bill or your food bill.
The pandemic has brought a significant shift in Australian spending habits, with more choosing to dine out and splurge on pets. Alex Nimmo reports.
The Bureau of Statistics Annual Consumer Price Index traditionally shows a gradual fluctuation in consumer habits, but the most recent report shows major changes since 2019. More adults are likely to travel domestically than overseas, and there's a 19% increase in spending on restaurant and takeaway meals. Australians are also ditching public transport and opting to buy new cars. Motor vehicle sales have seen a 27% increase in the last 5 years.
Welfare advocates are concerned not enough is being done to ensure people doing it tough are avoiding illness. Data from the Council of Social Service suggests 80% of people in financial distress are living in too hot conditions, with 14% seeking medical help for heat stress. Chief Executive Cassandra Goldie says low-income housing needs retrofitting.
We don't have housing which is suited to the conditions that we're now facing, and we've got people on low incomes who are being hit first and worst, and often unable to change the property conditions because they are renters.
Malaysia could back a fresh search for the wreckage of flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago. 239 people were on board, including 6 Australians. A US company wants to search a 15,000 square kilometre area of the southern Indian Ocean on a no-find, no-fee basis. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $2,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Triton.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with football. Adelaide is set to be without forward Riley Philthorpe for the start of the season. That's after scans confirmed damage to his knee from Saturday's pre-season clash against West Coast. A timeline on his return is yet to be determined. Meantime, St Kilda's Jimmy Webster's facing a significant amount of time on the sidelines with a suspension after a big bump on North Melbourne's Jai Simpkin left him concussed. Let's go to cricket. Australia captain Pat Cummins has paid tribute to Nathan Lyon following his 10-wicket haul against New Zealand. That was in the opening test in Wellington. The Aussies won the match by 172 runs, and Cummins says there's no reason why the 36-year-old can't play until he's 40.
It's huge. I'd love for him to keep going until 2027. I think, the only barrier really is his body. So if he looks after his body and, make sure he's right for whatever it is, 10 test matches a year, I would absolutely love him if he's playing until 2027.
Let's go to soccer, and Adelaide United struggles continue. They went down to the Wellington Phoenix 3-2 in the A-League, the result leaving them anchored back in 10th spot, 9 points off the top 6. And there were 2 games in the EPL overnight. Manchester City 3-1 winners against Manchester United.
Oh, Rodri has got it off Amrabat. Erling Haaland! The derby is done and dusted now!
Audio there thanks to Optus. Meantime, Bournemouth beat Burnley 2-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Mostly sunny and 30. Sunny tomorrow, 33. Partly cloudy on Wednesday, 30. And 32 for Thursday. At the moment, 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Always informative. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 7. Still to come this morning on the program, Stacey Lee will join us. We'll bring you a wrap of the stories knocking around this morning, headlined by a potential royal visit later this year. King Charles, despite his cancer diagnosis, there's some suggest they may visit as soon as this year. It'd be the first time the monarch has made it to Australia since Queen Elizabeth in 2011. Also, we'll talk about the prospect of massive rail expansion in South Australia and Peter Dutton's nuclear pan. What will it look like when there's some meat put on the bone? That's all after 7 o'clock this morning.
I think a lot of people will be excited and heartened too that he can't be in such terrible shape if they're talking about the prospect of him travelling. Although I know that it's not the palace, it's our Prime Minister talking about it. But the fact that an invitation is being extended and that there's some hope that he will come suggests that he's not exactly at death's door, which is good. I think we'd have listeners who've met King Charles. We'd love to hear from you, 8223 0000 if you have met King Charles. Obviously, you probably haven't met him since he's been king because he hasn't been in Australia. But who of our number folks, the 5AA Breakfast Show audience, has met Charles?
We'd love to hear it. And who's warmed to Charles since he's become the king? Because I think there's a lot of scepticism. There's this view that there'd be this wave of republicanism once the Queen died and that Charles took over. Well, doesn't feel like it's materialised, does it?
No, and I think it was premised on this sort of sneering view that he's some sort of klutz. Whereas I actually think that he's quite a likeable bloke. I think he's always come across as being a curious person, someone who's got interesting interests and is respectful. And and he's aware of the vexed history of colonialism. Like, he's a thoughtful guy.
Yeah,
I think he's a good bloke.
Let us know. Have your opinions on Charles changed since he's become the king? You feel less Republican than you expected to? What's your assessment of how King Charles is going? Because I think it's going to be warmer than what we might have thought if we did this. We suggested we'd be doing this a few years ago. 8223 is the number. You can text us on the Duttons text line 0480 08 1395.
Says here I'm a beast, Will. A few people are texting in saying...
What?
Brett says, Pembo, you should be between 77 and 81 kilos for your height, so you better hit the gym or the footpath.
No, but that's probably... If you're only... Oh, maybe you are then. Well, I think it's BMI. It's a stupid indicator.
Do I look like Ricky May?
No.
What is going on here?
You plug in your favourite AFL ruckman into the BMI and see what it says. Look, AFL players are often obese by that stupid measure. That's
Body
totally
mass
meaningless.
index.
I don't know why we still use it.
Yeah, one here from Robert saying obesity starts at 25% above what's considered normal body weight. I once weighed 110 kilos, mainly 165 centimetres tall, due to type 2 diabetes and later Crohn's disease, now hovering between 73 and 78, recovering from alcoholism as well. Good on you, Rob, and keep up the fight. Thank you.
If you pick up any News Limited paper in the country today, I suspect maybe some of the other papers too, but I'm talking about the Advertiser here, and it's like in other parts of the country, you'll see a lot of reporting on the decision by Meta to stop paying Australian media, not just News Limited, but Australian media companies for news content, which of course anyone that's got any form of a Facebook page will know, some of which pops up to you is a news article. It might be from a 7 News online site, or it might be from a 5AA article. It might be from, most often, it's from a newspaper's digital presence online. There was an agreement struck a number of years ago that they would pay for access to that content, and Meta have said they're pulling out. Here's the Prime Minister talking about this issue on 7 News.
Journalism is important, and the idea that research and work done by others can be taken for free is simply untenable. That's not the Australian way.
Jack Horton is from Meta, talking on Meta, should I say. He's the Sky News digital editor.
For many newsrooms, this is going to be absolutely disastrous. Now, the government's statement there, I think that it was quite comforting to a lot of people to see that they are taking it seriously. It is also disappointing that we have gotten to this state, but in terms of framing it as a significant investment, we're talking about $70 million that have been wiped off the budgets for newsrooms all over the country. That even includes our national broadcaster, which was investing that money into regional journalism, which we all know desperately is needed. We're going to be in a situation eventually where we're going to have New Zealand, where we've had News Hub shut down, and they have a single national broadcaster there publishing news. So in terms of media diversity, it's absolutely tragic.
I don't see how smaller papers like the Advertiser could even survive it. Like, I think it would seriously kill it. Yeah.
What if or just Facebook or?
Well, no, we're talking about, it's about $250 million a year. So
yes.
It's a big amount of money. The problem with it is, and this is where Zuckerberg is such a snake. The argument that Meta, the parent company of Facebook, puts is, look, we're not news sites, we're social sites. People come here to talk to their friends. Well, the question is, what do they talk to their friends about? So they talk to their friends about the weather, that's fine. They talk to their friends about what they did on the weekend. They talk to their friends about how they just got back from their holiday and here are some pictures. Then they say things like, God, have you seen that Jimmy Webster bump? And Robbo reckons he's going to get 10 weeks. Here's a link. You can read what Robbo says. Now, Zuckerberg says, well, that's just people talking about the news. Like, no. So Robbo gets paid, God knows what Robbo gets paid, because he's a huge drawcard name in journalism. So Robbo gets paid X. Robbo works out of the South Bank building at the Herald Sun headquarters there in Melbourne, where they pay rent, they pay power. They also have about 300 other staff who produce a newspaper. They have staff who man the website. They have a staff member who was working yesterday slicing and dicing the video of Jimmy Webster so he can watch the slow-mo and put the poll under it. You be the judge. That person's probably paid 80 grand a year creating all of this content and creating content that you can have a conversation around. Zuckerberg thinks that none of that's real. So this might sound like a journo whinging about it, and to be candid, it probably is. Here's the analogy. So Adelaide's leading restaurants decide that when people go there to eat, they're really there for the entree and the main. The bread rolls are incidental. You don't go to Chianti for the bread. You don't go to Enzo's for the bread. You don't go to Amalfi for the bread. The bread's just incidental. So we aren't going to pay Baker's Delight ever again for their bread. So we're the bread, and he's not going to pay us for it anymore. Well, I mean, it's so bad. It could even affect FIVEAA.
Mm.
Because, I mean, FIVEAA is owned by Lachlan Murdoch.
Yep.
Who's also trying to run News Corporation. It's appalling. It's total and utter theft.
And what fills the breach? What link are people sending in the absence of newspaper
we end up
articles?
like New Zealand, where the only source of news is taxpayer-funded national broadcaster, and we all get the, when it comes to hard news, particularly out of Sydney and Melbourne, we get nationally skewed, eastern states skewed, and politically skewed news. The only source, well, it will be like, we'll have, like living in the old Soviet Union. We just have one state-owned news entity, like they've now got in New Zealand.
It's terrifying. How many of our listeners get their news through Facebook? Well, a lot of people watch on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream that we appreciate. How often would you say you get your news from your Facebook feed? Let us know.
The thing too, and that's why I picked the Jimmy Webster example, is that's news. That's a news story.
Mm-hmm.
People think news is, here is the news, Walter Cronkite. I mean, it's even things like, hey, this is the best zucchini slice recipe, and it's from Taste.
Mm.
Now, that's content that is created by people who are trained as journos. All those food websites, that's journalism too. If you ask Zuckerberg, it's like, no, that's just somebody's zucchini slice recipe. Oh, mate, someone typed it in. Someone laid it out.
Yeah.
Someone took the pictures of the zucchini slice. This guy's just a parasite. He's just latched on to other people's work and doesn't think it has any value.
Let us know what you think, folks. 8223 0000. Will it affect you? There's no longer going to be paid Australian news on Facebook. You can text us as well on the Dutton's text line. Big 10 Ford, Jiram, Haval, Hyundai, Isuzu, Ute, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Subaru and Volkswagen. Dutton's, easy to do business with. Let's check traffic first, though. Then we'll check in with police and weather in a moment. Keezer, are you tired of back pain? Well, try Keezer, KIESER.com.au.
Thanks, Will, and good morning, David. Smooth sailing for the run into work on a Monday. Always nice to start the week off with no hassles. Simply some roadworks. You'll find them at Mile End today, James Compton Drive near Hugh Street. Bit of activity at Finnan this morning, Finnan Road near Winona Street, and we're down to 40 k's for works at St Mary's. Got some road plates in use there too. South Road near Princess Parade. Early morning cameras, Coromandel Parade, Blackwood and Duthie Street and Unley. Your flight sitter 7-night Bali stay awaits. From $2,555 for two, you can enjoy a bonus 2 free nights. Book now at Flight Centre. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Introducing the all-electric 7-seat Kia EV9. Silence never felt so loud. Visit kia.com.au to find out more.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the Lynn Andrews team have made it easy for landlords to manage residential and commercial property. From single homes to multiple commercial holdings, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge. How to do it safely and properly, matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help you. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
A farmer injured out on a remote station, a child with snake bite, a motor vehicle accident on a dirt road, serious illness, heart attack or stroke. Your Royal Flying Doctor Service is always there to help wherever you are in South Australia.
But they can't do their life-saving work without your help, so Double Up for the Doc Day is coming. March 7 is the date, and it's your chance to make a huge difference.
Your online donation on March 7 will be matched by some very generous dollar-matching partners.
In total, the target to reach is $300,000 to fit out a new aircraft with medical equipment, and with your help, it is totally doable.
So put it in your diary. Double up for the Doc Day. It's March 7, so that's later this week, 3 days away. For more information, visit flyingdoctor.com.au. That's flyingdoctor.com.au.
We're the boys from the bush. Lee Kernaghan's new tour, Boys from the Bush, the concert, is heading to Adelaide for one night only at the Hindley Street Music Hall on Friday, 19th April. Lee will perform all the hits and all your favourites in a spectacular new production that features his hot new band. Don't miss Australia's own country music legend, Lee Kernaghan, and his special guests at the Hindley Street Music Hall on Friday, 19th April. Book now on ticketmaster.com.au.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base, search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
10 to 7. Let's talk about the weather this week, because at first blush it's going to be warm. Hannah Marsh from the Weather Bureau joins us. Hannah, we might be in autumn, but we're back into the 30s.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get there, we're sitting on 15.8 degrees at the moment after a minimum of 15.6. But as you mentioned, heading for a sunny 30 degrees today. Getting back up to 33 for Tuesday. We do have a weak change that will come through on Wednesday that will drop the temperature just back to 30 and bring a bit of cloud, but not much in the way of weather. Just a slight chance that we could see a spot or two on Wednesday. But the temperatures increase pretty quickly again to 32 for Thursday, 34 for Friday, getting back up to 37 for Saturday before we see another change come through.
Good stuff. Another stinking hot weekend.
The start to autumn significantly warmer than the start to summer.
Yeah, crazy. Good stuff, Hannah. Thank you.
That's it to say, Pole. Senior Constable Kate Dawson's on the line. Kate, a couple of people have been arrested after a business break-in at Blair Athol.
Yeah, this was about 2:45 this morning. Police were called to a business on Main North Road after witnesses reported seeing a man and a woman attempting to smash their way into the store. Luckily, entry was not gained at this time. So as police were responding to the incident, they saw two people of a similar description 2 doors down at a service station, allegedly kicking the glass windows and behaving aggressively there. So thinking this is probably the same suspect, patrols pulled into the service station to speak to the pair. And as police were trying to speak to them, they both became violent, the woman allegedly spitting at police. So capsicum spray was deployed and the pair were safely arrested. The woman was taken to hospital for assessment of an injury that she already had before being taken to the cells, but both the man and the woman, who are both aged 35, have been charged with disorderly behaviour and hindering police. The woman also charged with assaulting an emergency services worker and property damage. So the investigation into the damage at the dealership there on Main North Road remains ongoing. We're just asking anybody who saw the pair acting suspiciously to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Geez, those sound like a couple of charmers.
Yeah.
Kate, also a robbery in Coralta Park yesterday.
Yeah, this was a pretty brazen incident in broad daylight. It happened about 2:45 yesterday afternoon. Police were called to Anzac Highway after a man entered the liquor store there armed with a weapon believed to be a firearm and threatened staff. So the suspect stole cash and alcohol before running off towards Mortimer Street, which is just behind the business. So apparently a brave member of the public attempted to confront the offender, and that caused them to drop the alcohol, but unfortunately they still managed to get away. So police would love to speak to that member of the public to get some further details. Thankfully staff and witnesses were not physically injured, but it's a very serious incident. So our Southern District Police, Polaire and Police Dog Rusty searched the area, but we've been unable to locate the suspect at this time, and detectives will be back on the job today. And again, we're just asking anybody with any further information to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And just finally, Kate, you caught up with a drunk and drug driver at Wallaroo.
Yeah, this was about 5:20 p.m. last night. A Kadina patrol stopped a Toyota Corolla on Cornish Terrace at Wallaroo just for the purpose of a breath test. The driver was a 42-year-old Glen Osmond man. He allegedly returned a positive reading of .084, and he's also drug tested and returned a positive reading for driving with methamphetamine in his system. So licence checks also revealed that the man was suspended from driving for having outstanding fines. So he's been issued with a 3-month loss of licence, and his car was impounded for 28 days. He's been reported for drink driving, and he may be reported for drug driving after his sample will be tested by forensic science. So he'll appear in the Kadina Magistrates Court at a later date.
All right, thank you for that, Kate. Senior Constable Kate Dawson from SOPOL with a slew of issues there. Let's head to the United States. Tim Lester for 7 News is on the line. Tim, bad news for US President Joe Biden. His disapproval ratings reached a new high.
Well, in fact, worries about his age in particular have surfaced in a poll that the New York Times is leading with today. They say fully 73% of registered voters in the United States now have doubts that Joe Biden is capable of doing the job of president because he's 81 years old. He'd be 86 if he wins November's election and then stays to the end of a 4-year term. So far and away the oldest ever US president. But to have 3/4 of the US electorate, according to this poll, at the very least expressing some and almost half expressing, if not alarm, full concern, that gives you a sense of the way this is emerging as a real problem for Joe Biden in the run to November.
It must be interesting, Tim, being based as you are in the US, because it feels at the moment like, I mean, we had him standing there licking the ice cream the other day saying that the Gaza war was about to end, and then I saw on Friday, wasn't it, he made some other statement where he seemed to get the war in Ukraine and Gaza mixed up. Like, it feels like it's happening every few days now, isn't it?
And what a problem in the run to an election, right? That's only going to further highlight it. I mean, this week, in 4 days, he's got his State of the Union address where he stands in Congress, addresses everybody. For an election year, a pivotal speech, you can imagine his mind is almost hiding under the desk, just saying, look, just get through it without a mistake, please.
Yeah.
Because unlike other people, or many others who can make a mistake and laugh it off, if he makes a mistake, rightly or wrongly, he just reignites the age issue again. So it's going to be a tense week for the White House.
Yeah, it's not so much the age, it's how bad he is at that age, isn't it?
Well, Trump's only 4 years younger.
Yeah.
And if Trump wins, he'll be the second oldest president of all time.
Mm.
So,
yeah. Great stuff, Tim. Nikki Haley, why is she still hanging around?
I saw a headline that actually made me laugh out loud eating my breakfast cereal this morning. It was on, where was it? I think it might have been CNN. It said, Nikki Haley will remain in the race, in quotes, whilst it's still competitive. Sorry? Is it still competitive?
But she's sort of doing it to fly the flag for the old-fashioned Ronald Reagan-style Republicans who...
Yeah.
Are there enough of them to split the Republican vote and let the Democrats win?
No, they'll fall in behind. I think they'll fall in behind Trump at a general election.
I guess the thing is, if Haley somehow got the nomination, all the Trump people go, I'm not voting for her.
Yeah, you might suddenly have a record low turnout.
You'd split it the other way.
Well, I think she's in there largely in case something crazy happens with some of the trials that he's currently in the midst of at the moment.
Or if suddenly the Supreme Court said...
Exactly. I think that's why she's hanging around.
Hmm. She's like their insurance policy.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. And also, as we spoke about earlier, last week, she's not doing herself any harm in terms of a future presidential run.
Isn't that a bit of an indictment on Kamala Harris that no one even inside the Democrats thinks that she's a sensible choice as president?
She showed no signs of being capable of doing that job since being the VP. I actually think if they had a VP who was really liked and capable, the pressure on Biden right now would be significantly higher.
Oh, he'd be gone for sure, wouldn't he? They'd tap him. They'd have to tap him.
The New York Times poll...
They're going to have to tap him. The guy can't do it. It will be, like, pitiful. It'll be just excruciating to watch. Can you imagine the first debate?
Yeah, I can't wait. Tim Lester referenced the New York Times poll. I was reading that this morning too. How about this for a statistic in it? 19% of people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, so 1 in 5 of the people that voted for him, essentially, last time around, according to this poll, have said he's no longer capable of handling the top job. Now, that was the most extreme option in terms of, are you worried about him? Are you slightly concerned? Is he no longer capable? 1 in 5 of the people that voted for him say this guy cannot physically do the job anymore. He doesn't need that many people not to turn up to lose.
What were the crude voting numbers? Isn't it about... I'm going to be guessing here. How many Americans vote? Do you know off the top of your head? Because it's voluntary voting.
Yeah, it was. Well, last one was the biggest turnout ever We'll find it. I'll tell you what, I'll find it and we'll have it on the other side of the news.
Because I'm just trying to think how many people is that have changed their mind. Like if 6 million people voted, say, for Biden, that means that there's more than 1 million people who now think...
I think it's significantly more than that.
Yeah.
We'll check it and we'll get it for you as part of our news wrap that's coming up right after 5AA News.
In tough times, it's the simple things that make a big difference. Like $19 schnitzel days at the Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. We know the humble schnitty can't fix all our problems, but we do know it'll put a smile on your dial. $19 schnitty, Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. Making the world a better place, one schnitty at a time. Got to start somewhere. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
Want to rev up your energy levels without energy drinks or carb-heavy snack bars? Do you care about the health of your heart? Caruso's Vitamin K2 plus Ubiquinol to the rescue. Caruso's Vitamin K2 plus Ubiquinol is a game-changing formula with powerhouse nutrients to support energy production, maintain your energy levels, and maintain the health of your heart. Rev up your energy and get more out of your day with Caruso's Vitamin K2 plus Ubiquinol. Available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Some Austrac campers come with smart TVs, so you can still go away camping and not miss your favourite streaming episode. Oh, Ma! I knew he was going to cheat on her.
Austrac campers!
The very latest news and information. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny and 30 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettick.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
A gathering of Southeast Asian leaders will get underway in Melbourne today. It'll begin with a formal visit by the Malaysian Prime Minister. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the 3 days of talks will help create opportunities for Australian businesses.
What that's about is the opportunity that is here in Australia from engagement with Indonesia, with the Philippines, with Malaysia, with our neighbours, in order to create jobs here. That's what our international engagement's about. Benefit for Australia in terms of our economy.
And planning's getting underway for a royal visit to Australia later this year. Zach De Silva has details.
The Albanese government will begin talks with the states and territories this week about a possible visit from King Charles. This would be the first visit from a reigning monarch since Queen Elizabeth in 2011. It's hoped Charles will come to Australia this year, but his recent cancer diagnosis is putting a cloud over any plans. The Prime Minister says members of the royal family are always welcome. It would be the King's 16th official visit here and his first as sovereign. A date is yet to be set and there's likely to be fierce jostling among the states for a chance to host the monarch.
Federal Parliament's newest MP's vowing to focus on the cost of living as her number one priority. Labor's Jodie Bellier will soon be sworn in after winning the Dunkley by-election, despite a drop in support for her party. The vote was triggered by the death of sitting MP Peter Murphy. Ms Bellier says she's keen to look at new ways of tackling soaring prices.
I think it's about consulting further with the people in the community about measures that are going to support them to have more money in their purse at the end of the day. And I know that there is a review going on around Coles and Woolies, and I think it's about really leaning into that.
Australians are spending more on dining out and getting their hair done post-pandemic. The annual Consumer Price Index from the Bureau of Statistics typically shows a gradual inflation in consumer habits, but there's been major changes since 2019. Financial Review Economics Editor John Kehoe says we're spending 20% more on food.
And that's because we're eating out at restaurants and cafes more, spending more on takeaway food as well. We're also spending more on things like bread and milk at home, maybe because we're working from home more. Haircuts, personal grooming's up as well.
And a third of Australians are considered obese, 2.5 million more than a decade ago. Health experts are encouraging us to monitor food intake and exercise levels. One-to-One Diet's Tamar Lyman says more needs to be done to curb the growing rate of those at risk of serious disease.
A huge drain on the Medicare system. It leads to type 2 diabetes. It can lead to sleep apnea, hypertension, high cholesterol, stroke. so many different sort of health issues that we have to be aware of.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $1,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Outlander.
And Tom Renner's set back for the Crows.
Oh, in a big way, it's unfortunate, isn't it, Kendall? Adelaide set to be without Riley Philthorpe for the start of the season after scans confirmed he's damaged the meniscus in his left knee. Philthorpe arrived at Calvary Hospital yesterday morning hoping he'd be okay.
I just jarred it, so I'm a bit sore today, but I feel like I'll be all right by next week, so see how we go.
So right to go from round one?
I hope so, see how we go.
That audio there thanks to Nine, but the subsequent results confirmed more significant damage than that, meaning he's set to miss at least the opening couple of rounds. Meantime, Port Adelaide is hopeful Vice-Captain Zach Butters will be okay to play in round one. That's despite hurting his ankle in Friday night's match against Fremantle. And concussion is again in the spotlight after a huge bump by St Kilda's Jimmy Webster left North Melbourne's Jai Simpkin badly concussed. The incident has some experts calling for a 10-week penalty. Well, Australia's cricketers will now prepare for the second test against New Zealand. That's after an impressive 172-run win in the opening test in Wellington. Meantime, New South Wales will resume at 8 for 465 on the final day of its Shield clash against South Australia, giving the Blues an overall lead of 178 runs. To soccer, Adelaide United's horror run has continued after they lost 3-2 against the Wellington Phoenix in the A-League. 2 games in the English Premier League overnight. Manchester City coming from a goal down to beat bitter rivals Manchester United 3-1. Bournemouth beat Burnley 2-0. And the Young Matildas have defeated Korea Republic 2-1 to open their campaign at the Under-20s Asian Cup in Uzbekistan. Briefly elsewhere, Alex de Minaur is celebrating after claiming his 8th career title at the Mexico Open. That was with a straight sets win against Casper Ruud. And Aussie golfer Hannah Green has won the World Championship in Singapore, which is her 4th LPGA Tour title. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery bonus prize deadline is midnight Friday. homelottery.com.au.
G'day there, at Smithfield, a crash Main North Road near Curtis Road. Work slowing things up at Myrtle Bank today, Crossroad near Fullerton Road, busy at Modbury, Reservoir Road near Hyacinth Avenue. Bit slow going at the moment, South Road at Febberton with Cameras Dawes Road, Door Park and Osmond Terrace at Norwood. The King Living Anniversary Sale ends soon. Save up to 50% on selected Australian design award-winning furniture. Sale ends soon. Visit the King Living Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Mostly sunny and 30 today, sunny tomorrow 33, partly cloudy on Wednesday 30 and partly cloudy Thursday 32, at the moment 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Are you thinking about a sea change? Where you can walk to the beach and be part of a close community? Think Oakford Homes at Encounter Bay. You can live in a brand new low maintenance home with all facilities close by. Fixed price turnkey packages, flat land, ready to build. Move in now or invest for the future. Oakford Homes at Encounter Bay. Come down for a drive and look through our display village and see why Stage 1 is nearly sold out. Oakford Homes, a statement of quality. oakfordhomes.com.au.
It's Edward here from Edwardstown Mazda. I can't tell the time yet, but I know it's running out to save on a 2023 Platinum Mazda. If you come in now, you'll get the best deal ever on all 2023 Mazdas. I pinky promise. And remember, Edwardstown Mazda is the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. Numo umero, baby. Now play that jingle thing. It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Stay informed, get involved. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Ray White Business
5AA Breakfast.
8 after 7 and good morning to you if you're joining us for the very first time. Was it your farmer mate, David, that last week you were saying had a theory that we need to shift the seasons by 4 weeks?
Yeah.
He's got a good argument in favour of that this week, with every single day forecast above 30 and Saturday 37 degrees as we enter autumn.
Well, it would just be a lot cleaner and a lot more linear, wouldn't it? You know, summer, January, February, March.
Yeah.
Be easier to remember. Well, actually, no, it'd be kind of hard to remember because your brain...
It would take a long time to adjust.
Yeah.
Be easy maybe for future generations, I'm not sure. About 155 million people voted in the last US presidential election. It was the highest turnout by percentage since 1900. Forget net turnout. It was easily the highest net turnout ever. Highest by percentage since 1900. In that election, some 81 million people voted for Joe Biden. So if 20% of those was to change their vote, we're talking a significant number of people.
It's crazy, isn't it? I like this message from Simon. He says, compare Biden to Reagan when concerns were raised over Reagan's age in typical Reagan style. He made a quick-witted and genuinely funny comeback. That one made him more relatable and two proved that his quick wit was still there. He said, I will not make age an issue in this campaign. I will not exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
See, it's a great line.
Yeah.
Well delivered. Biden's not capable of coming up with that, nor delivering it.
Not in real time, like Ronnie did.
No. Let's jump into some of the stories of the morning. Starting here in South Australia, we started the show by saying a lot of big plans being unveiled today, or at least talked about. We've put in a call to chat with RAA Chief Executive Nick Reid, who's calling for rail line extensions to support the rapid housing development in the north and south of Adelaide. This is front page of the Tiser this morning. 25,000 new homes means lots of people. And as Nick Reid says, obviously from the RAA, it means a hell of a lot of cars on our road. What he's saying, that would amount to an extra 100,000 car commuters, and says we need a massive infrastructure expansion to support those sorts of housing developments. So this is what he's calling for specifically. A metropolitan rail network expansion to include extensions of the Seaford line, about 9 k's to Aldinga, which I think has been talked about. That one doesn't feel like it's that out there as an idea.
Well, the state government's actually on track, so to speak, to do that anyway. Because they've bought all that land.
That's right. They left the rail corridor open.
Yeah, or there was a whole bunch of land that was going to be developed, and I think they said, no, not that bit. So it's that middle bit near the fire station.
It's a good move. He wants an expansion to the Gawler line to Concordia, about 7 k's northeast, and a rail extension or a high-capacity bus link to Dry Creek, where there's about 10,000 homes planned. Where do we need a train? What would be your first priority to put for a train extension?
Well,
or a new line, folks? Let us know. 8223 0000.
I reckon if you look at those large things over there on the eastern side of the city, known as the Adelaide Hills, there'll be a lot of people listening in Mount Barker and Callington and further out going, well, what about us?
Presumably, this is Nick Reid's got. If we get the opportunity to speak to him, we'll put these questions to him. But I imagine he's thinking in terms of manageable cost and a train line extension significantly more achievable than an entirely new line being constructed. Right. So, but I think you're right.
It onto an existing one.
For our listeners, I think maybe Mount Barker, would that be the one you'd want the most? What if you could get a train line out to your neck of the woods or somewhere you commute to that would make a big difference? Where would it be? 8223 0000. Text us on the Dutton's text line 0448 08 1395.
He's dead right though. The south and the north, that's where so much of the new growth is. I mean, like Aldinga, barely a decade ago, you went down to Aldinga, there was a little old block of shops, and then there was that mangy old Caltex servo that had so much pigeon poo on the roof that it was on a 45-degree angle. We're on the run now. Is like you used to get there and you felt like you were
now it's a suburb,
like on Yorks or something. Oh, it's grown like mad. It's crazy. And I think the reason it has is everyone, suddenly the penny dropped. Because they were giving land away down there 15 years ago. Like it was dirt cheap. 1,000 square metres, walking distance from the water was 100 grand.
You're kidding.
Like it was crazy.
You couldn't get that in Millicent these days, I wouldn't have thought.
Like, No, that's what it was. I know that from experience. But I think everyone suddenly went, hang on, this is one of the great beaches. It's a really cruisy lifestyle, and it's so close to the city. Like it's, I had some mates from Melbourne who stayed at our place on the weekend, and they said, if you told someone that you could go to a shack in Melbourne that was 40 minutes from the CBD, they'd say, where is it, Coburg?
Yeah. Do you agree with Nick Reid, folks? Let us know, 8223 0000. Do you agree with Peter Dutton? Disappointing result in the Dunkley by-election over the weekend, swing to the Liberal Party, but it wasn't. They were looking for something 4% plus that would say that they're on track. It was below 4%. Labor's primary vote actually went up. Most of the Greens got decimated, but the change of complexion of minor parties went both the Liberal and Labor primary vote went up. And this morning in the Australian, the Liberal National Party have dropped some details suggesting that the full detail of their nuclear power plan will be released before the May budget. Here's Jane Hume, the Shadow Finance Minister, speaking on Sky.
The idea that you would preclude nuclear from your energy mix on your pathway to net zero is simply an act of ideological belligerence, because we know that those countries that have adopted nuclear or have said that they will adopt nuclear already have a cheaper and cleaner energy pathway to net zero.
Importantly, the meat on the bone of this policy is going to be naming places, naming sites, because the comeback always is, where are you going to put it? Whose house is going to be next door to the nuclear power plant? It's the sort of lazy retort you constantly get in the absence of having a detailed plan, but they are going to be talking about specific sites.
It's funny because when we had Dutton on the show the other week, someone texted in going, well, would Peter Dutton want a nuclear power plant in his electorate? Where are they going to put these things? And it's been the ultimate sort of scare tactic. You know, even Tanya Plibersek has said things like that about nuclear waste. Oh, would you want a nuclear waste facility in your backyard? So, well, I don't think that's actually the plan. But having places for it will be of great interest. Totally change, make the debate a lot more real. But yeah, I don't know. The Libs are licking their wounds after Saturday. That was a poor result. There's also a really big theory doing the rounds in conservative circles in Australia. I can't remember the woman's name. But there's a federal Liberal MP who's a bit of a moderate type in Victoria who on Saturday night tweeted a photo of herself with the successful Labor candidate for Dunkley, just saying, I just want to congratulate her on her victory. And people are going, why would you do that?
It's what peculiar.
Yeah. Well, the theory is, or the suspicion or the fear is that this current sitting federal Liberal MP is setting herself up to go teal because she knows she's got a better chance.
Oh, gee.
So if they lose another one to the Teals...
That's not going to happen then.
They're structurally stuffed, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like the SA Liberals are. Well, they've got no country, hardly any country members anymore because of all these country independents.
They went independent.
So if you end up with like Australia's bourgeois, where's my stage 3 tax cut brigade, are all suddenly Teal voters, there's no path back to victory for the Liberal Party.
No, yeah, they got bigger issues then. The MP, I thought you were going to make us play a bit of MP guessing game for a second there, a bit like the one we had last week. We're trying to work out who sold state secrets to China, or anyone or anyone, of course, who engages in these sorts of nefarious espionage activities. Mike Burgess, the head of ASIO, was on 60 Minutes last night for a far-reaching interview.
More recently, we've seen a Foreign Intelligence Service use a puppet to find out about a person and ask again, can we find a fellow Australian who will make that dissident disappear?
Make an Australian disappear, you mean an assassination?
Well, the words were make them disappear, but yes, that could be one of the possibilities, but obviously that was stopped before it could happen.
Have any dissidents actually been physically harmed in this country?
I won't comment on those activities.
Have they been threatened or their families threatened abroad?
Definitely. We see people threatening abroad, and worse still, we see people who actually have their families threatened abroad. Well, if you don't come home, something will happen to your family members.
If these Australians are brave enough to call out foreign regimes, and again I'll name one, China, for its oppressive conduct, when are our senior officials going to do the same here in Australia?
You'd have to ask others, not just me in that regard.
Well, you are the Director General of Security, though.
Well, my job isn't to call them out specifically. My job is first and foremost to deal with the problem. So when we find those problems, we'll assess what we're dealing with. And if we see threats to security, the safety of those individuals is paramount, and we'll deal with them quickly.
It's a fascinating interview. I reckon a lot of our listeners will have been watching it. It's always good, those solid, hard news interviews they do in 60 Minutes. It takes you back to the golden era of George and Martin Leslie and Jana Vent back in the day.
It's good stuff.
Martin.
I just keep thinking, about a conversation we had last week. Why is Mike Burgess being so transparent about all this? To an extent, obviously he's not naming people, but why?
I thought it was
sit-down
interesting.
interviews.
Well, he does that every year.
He does the press conference
It's
every
almost
year.
like the State of the Nation for spooks.
Yeah, but what was last year's headline?
Well,
what was the year before that's headline?
Exactly. But he clearly did this to put every MP on notice that we're onto you. And he must think it's a growing problem.
That's the inference.
You know, the other thing, everyone was pointing the finger at poor old Sam Dastyari. He's come out and emphatically denied it. Burgess's answer last night was interesting on the question of who it was and why wouldn't you say. He said, and this goes to our theory that my mail is that it's a Liberal, an ex-Liberal MP. He said last night, well, people should be careful because it could be somebody from the other side. I mean, he was saying, don't go jumping to conclusions that it's necessarily a Labor person.
Absolutely.
Which Dutton said last week and then backpedalled from.
8223 is our name. You can text us on the Dutton's text line. You can get in contact with us using either of those methods to tell us something that I suspect is going to be a big topic of conversation with Rowey next. How many weeks for Jimmy Webster? If you've seen the bump that he laid on North's Jai Simpkin, we usually wouldn't be talking about any kind of incident in a match between St Kilda and North Melbourne in a trial game.
A trial game?
But it was so egregious. It was so bad. It was so out of the time machine. And in light of the conversation the last couple of weeks and what Sam Powell-Pepper got, you can only... Well, we want to ask you, what do you think it's going to be? I believe just about any number. You're saying double figures, aren't you, David?
I think it should be.
Yeah. Well, let's ask people what they think it should be.
There's no excuse.
822-300-00. We've got a $100 unique home styles food voucher to give away. What should it be? What's the number? Just text us through a number if you've got a thought in your head as well. Let's get the 5AA breakfast consensus on this, and then we'll get Rowey's thoughts after the break.
If it's about sending a signal, they've got to send a big one.
Well, it's not getting through.
Unbelievable.
Let's check traffic thanks to Keezer. Are you tired of back pain? Well, try Keezer, KIESER.com.au.
Thanks, Will. At Smithfield, small bingo to look out for this morning. Main North Road near Curtis Road. Slow works at St Mary's at the moment. South Road near Princess Parade. Got some road plates in use there. Speeds at 40. And a bit of activity sluggish too at Myrtle Bank Cross Road near Fullerton Road. You find early morning cameras, Cross Road, Myrtle Bank and Anzac Highway at Ashford. Start the week off marvellously by making Monday's Mexican night. Find the Mexican-style air-fryer pork sausage hot dogs recipe at pork.com.au and get some pork on your fork. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
We and Torrens Transit, says the Transport Department, again apologise for the distress caused. I'm glad we were able to help when Margaret called in. Any issues you've got where you're feeling, you've had an injustice occur, always happy to help here on 5AA.
Matthew Pantelis.
Can't always get the result you want. Experience has shown that, but we certainly try and help you out.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Let's see what's in the swear jar at Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Here's one from Jasmine, the operations manager at Buy Urban and the driving force behind the success of all renovation projects. Jasmine swears to ensure all the trades arrive on time every time to ensure a seamless transition to your stunning Buy Urban bathroom. For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
Join over 60,000 Adelaide homes and say yes to lowering your energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. To beat the summer heat, Yes can connect you with a new air conditioner thanks to the SA government initiative called REPS. Yes is offering eligible concession households a fully installed 2.6 kilowatt Rinnai system for only $8.99. Yes, $8.99. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from Your Energy Saving Solutions, go to yess.net.au.
Now, as we know, the housing crisis is not going anywhere soon. In fact, it seems to be getting worse. But if you're a landlord and you're looking to sell, you have the power to make a difference, a really big difference.
That's right. Magain have hundreds of landlords looking to buy right now, so get in touch with the Magain team and sell your property to another landlord.
It means your current tenants will have somewhere to live, their kids can go to the same school, they can hang out with the same friends, and at the end of the day, they still have a place to call home, and that's the most important thing of all.
And as a landlord looking to sell, it means you have the power to make a big difference to the housing crisis, and Magain can help you make it happen. Visit their website, magain.com.au.
Get obsessed with the Honda SUV range at Formula Honda, Modbury and Glen Osmond. Whether it's the compact HRV, the sporty mid-sized Honda ZRV, or the spacious CRV. And for a limited time, new Honda SUVs come with a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist, and 5 standard low-price services at $199 each. Visit Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond and test drive today. Vehicles used for a commercial purpose have a 7-year or 200,000 kilometre warranty, whichever occurs first. T's and C's at honda.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base, search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes after 7, we said in the aftermath of the Sam Powell-Pepper bump on Mark Keane that he chose the wrong week to lay a hit like that, and he paid the consequence, got 4 weeks, because it came in the week that Melbourne's Angus Brayshaw retired from the game from head knocks. The court case brought by Max Rook and others was going through the court. It just felt like everyone's focus was on the concussion issue in the AFL. So that was a week ago. How do you explain what took place yesterday with Jimmy Webster laid out North Melbourne's Jai Simpkin with a hit that would have been right at home in the 70s? He left his feet, he lined him up, hit him in the head. The ball had gone. It was premeditated. He had time to think about it and choose another course of action. Look, it ticks every box of what you're not meant to do.
Yeah, it's almost a training video on how not to do it.
So we're asking you, how many weeks does it get in this day and age? Andrew and St Clair, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you going? Just, Timbo, on your comment earlier about the Mike Burgess interview, you sort of said those hard-hitting interviews from Martin Leslie. Well, I tell you, Martin Leslie might have actually been more at home yesterday at Risa Park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, certainly, Dermot Brereton remembers those hard-hitting interviews. I can tell you. What he should get 8. What he will get is probably more like 5. And the reason, 2, 1, there's this wonderful thing called Victorian discount, Victorian clubs, and secondly, I've got a belief that once you get past a certain number, penalty sort of bases become logarithmic. They don't go up on a linear basis.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know how they can get away with that, mate. They're saying it's 1 week.
It can't be 4.
1 week worse than what Sam Powell-Pepper did. It's at least.
It can't be 4. As we said, it should be 8, but it'll probably be less. But more than 4 because it has to be.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's go to Lenswood. John, good morning.
Yes, mate. It's the degree of premeditation is much worse than Powell-Pepper. He should get nothing less than 10.
10. Thank you, John. We've got a few from 10 on the
quite
text line.
Quite a few people are going double figures. Jared says has to be minimum 8, but 10 would hopefully have more of an effect. Jay says 8. Mark reckons 5 to 6. Brian says, given Sam got 4, this guy has to get 6 at a minimum. Jimbo says they should give him 20, give him the whole year off. Kylie says 12. The way the poor bloke's head snapped back was awful to watch. Most people are saying 8 to 10.
All right, well, let's find out what Rowey has to say.
Stephen Rowe on 5AA Breakfast.
It's going to be a big talking point today and right throughout the week. Looking forward to the sports show tonight. $19 Shinity Monday to Wednesday at the Birkin Tavern, Excelsior and Lighthouse Wharf. You just know it's a Barrow Hotel. Morning to you, Rowey.
Pimo Will, good morning. Yeah, St Kilda's Jimmy Webster. It was a brain fade. It can happen. Guarantee you that. It's an instinctive game. They play on the red line. They're coached to push up, put pressure on the opposition, frontal pressure, all that. So it tells me that the coaches haven't got through to the players and they're still demanding it. Pep got 4, you're right. I agree with all your listeners. It's going to land somewhere between 6 and 8, I think. The AFL said it's case by case. They were their exact words. There'll be no precedence. So we'll see this lad probably around 7, 8, 9 or 10. That's where it'll land.
Can you believe he did it though, Rowey? I mean, you've played the game. There are things that happen in a split-second fashion. But this just looks like he's gone, I'm going to line this bastard up. Like it looks like it's something from greatest hits of the 1970s that you'd put in your VCR.
Yeah, look, Will was right. He did everything wrong. You said it could be a training model for this is what you don't do. It was late. He jumped. He left the ground. He shoulder charged, hit him in the head. There's no question about all of that. The footage is quite plain. I get it. And if you think this won't happen again, it will. Like I said, we play an instinctive 360-degree pressure game where they're coached to the second on getting at the opposition and putting him under pressure. Now, people say, well, why does he need to do that? He's got the ball, he's going to kick it. Well, we want him to kick it into the forward line without any precision. We want him to kick it in the forward line high so that the defenders can get under it and defend it. And then he gets praised for putting that player under pressure. It's how Sam Powell-Pepper plays. It's what keeps Murphy in the team. Now, you can get your timing wrong with that. I reckon some coaches will say, well done, you coach to instruction, mate, you just got it wrong, you shouldn't have jumped. But, cop your lot. I don't know whether that vocabulary has started to get phased out because he should have had a duty of care. Now, for those that are calling for 10 to 12 to 14 weeks and some are saying the whole season, send a message, this is going to happen. It's just going to happen. This is our game, guys. This is our game. It's going to happen.
Well, I think the AFL would hope it never happens like this one again.
So I don't think, Rowey, I think you can say that in relation to like an incident like the one with Sam Powell-Pepper. I don't think you can say it in relation to this. This was a bloke who made a decision.
Well, okay. Do you think another player's going to get reported for a head-eye bump?
Well, yeah, of course they will.
Of course they will.
But if it's a bump along these lines, they've got to send a huge signal that it's just not on anymore. And I think
they might.
You can argue split second. I mean, Port, from what I read in their lawyer's defence of SPP, was that he had 0.09 of a second to work out what to do. Now that is, that's a butterfly beating its wing. But this bloke is a dog act. Rub him out.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it a dog act. I'll call it a brain fade. Hey, just quickly, I'll tell you someone else that's might miss 6 weeks.
It's not 1978.
Riley Thilthorpe.
Yeah.
Well, I get that, and I get the game's changed, and I'm one of the slowest to the dance, but people that are calling for 10 to 12 weeks, God, serious?
Yeah, sad news about Filthy, Rowey, and hopefully some good news on Butters that you guys will have for us in the sports show this afternoon.
Yeah, see it for.
On your Rowey.
It's going to be
Did I upset him?
No, I don't think so. It's going to be a big discussion tonight. I think beyond tonight, because I suspect it'll be sent straight to the tribunal. So for the next few days, 5AA News is coming up. We turn our attention to state politics with Stacey Lee next.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny and 30 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
The hunt continues for a man who stole cash and alcohol from a bottle-o at Karalta Park yesterday afternoon. Police were called to the Anzac Highway store after he threatened staff with a weapon believed to be a firearm before fleeing. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says a brave member of the public confronted the offender.
That caused them to drop the alcohol, but unfortunately they still managed to get away. So police would love to speak to that member of the public to get some further details.
Capsicum spray was used on 2 people in Blair Athol this morning. Just before 3, police were called to Main North Road after witnesses reported seeing a man and woman trying to smash their way into a business. As officers arrived, they saw 2 people of a similar description a few businesses down, allegedly kicking the glass windows of a servo. Thinking they may be the same people, patrols pulled in to speak to the pair and they became violent, with the woman allegedly spitting at police. The man and woman, both aged 35, have been charged. Independent Senator Jackie Lambie says Australia needs to do more to bolster its defences against espionage. The boss of ASIO is accusing an unnamed former politician of colluding with overseas spies. It's now been revealed China was behind the plot. Senator Lambie's told Today the revelations aren't a shock.
When it comes to cyber security, we're certainly not on our game down here, that's for sure, but I don't think it will surprise anybody when it comes to China. The thing what I would like to know is why he's come out so late in the game when he didn't announce this when it was happening.
Key regional leaders will begin arriving in Australia for economic and security talks. The ASEAN-Australian summit's being held in Melbourne over the next 3 days. The Prime Minister will host a special meeting with his Malaysian counterpart this afternoon. The leaders of Vietnam, Singapore and Indonesia will also be in the country. And planning's getting underway for a royal visit later this year. It's hoped King Charles will come to Australia, but his recent cancer diagnosis is putting a cloud over any plans. It will be the first visit from a reigning monarch since Queen Elizabeth in 2011. Australia's obesity rate has soared and experts are blaming the health system for treating the symptoms, not the cause. 2.5 million people are classified as obese compared to a decade ago. The Obesity Collective's director, Tiffany Petrie, says the current approach isn't working.
Right now, we just tell people to eat less and walk more, and that is clearly not working, and lots of people have tried. There's an assumption out there that people aren't trying. We need to have healthier environments that aren't as promoting of obesity, so children are bombarded with unhealthy food marketing.
And Tones and I will perform at Live Golf in Adelaide next month. The Dance Monkey singer will entertain the crowd at Grange on Friday, April the 26th. DJ Fisher will return on the Saturday night and flight facilities on Sunday. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $2,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Triton.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with footy. Adelaide forward Riley Philthorpe is set to miss the start of the season. That's after scans confirmed damage to his left knee. The Crows are yet to determine how long he'll be out for. Meantime, a St Kilda veteran is set to receive a lengthy suspension over a sickening bump. Jordan Tunbridge reports.
For the second weekend in a row, a footballer has been concussed from a head-high bump and the AFL season hasn't even started. North Melbourne captain Jai Simpkin is the latest victim, collected by St Kilda's Jimmy Webster during a practice match. Kangaroos assistant Xavier Clark says while Simpkin sat out the rest of the match, the outlook is positive.
He seemed fine. We obviously know what he has to go through to put his hand up, hopefully to be available for round one.
Roos Premiership player David King took to social media immediately after the incident, calling on Webster to receive a 10-week ban. Just last week, Port Adelaide's Sam Powell-Pepper was suspended for 4 weeks over a similar hit.
Australian golfer Hannah Green has won her 4th title on the LPGA Tour, taking out the World Championship in Singapore.
Oh, it's a good line. It's in the hole! Hannah Green, her 4th LPGA Tour victory. Birdies the final 3 holes.
Yeah, great effort. Audio thanks to Fox. Fellow Aussie Minwoo Lee is a chance meantime to win his first event on the men's PGA Tour. He's equal 6th, 4 shots off the pace ahead of his final round in Florida, but bad weather has stopped play for now. And Australia's cricketers will recover today following a 172-run win in the opening test against New Zealand in Wellington. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery bonus prize deadline is midnight Friday. homelottery.com.au.
Good morning. Not looking too bad on the roads at the moment. It's a small bingle to keep in mind at Smithfield, Main North Road near Curtis Road. No great delays though. Some works at Montbury slowing things up, Reservoir Road near Hyson Avenue, and a bit of activity at Port Adelaide, St Vincent Street near Baker Street. You'll find cameras this morning, Doothie Street, Marvin and Penfold Road at McEwen. Experience the entire Mini range at Glenelg Mini Garage, Adelaide's independent family-owned Mini dealership. Experience the fun that follows a Mini at Glenelg Mini Garage. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Mostly sunny and 30 today, 33 tomorrow, partly cloudy on Wednesday, down to 30 and 32 for Thursday. At the moment, 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. Grab 3 Falcon Zeek ZE 310R passenger car tyres and get the 4th tyre absolutely free. Experience top-notch performance with exceptional grip on both wet and dry surfaces. Steer your way to citydiscounttires.com.au for even more great deals. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
Keen Office Furniture and Keen Education Furniture have the latest in office and education furniture all in one showroom. And the Keen staff love furniture. So whilst your colleagues talk politics at the water cooler, the Keen team discuss full office fit-outs and ergonomic chairs. Except last week when Jackie asked Shane if he used to ride a horse to school before the tram came into operation in 1929. Nice one, Jackie. Keen delivers and sets up furniture at schools and workplaces in Glenelg and all over SA. Keen Office Furniture and Keen Education Furniture. Leaders in office and education furniture.
Join Care Alert's Safety Snippets, safeguarding our seniors, one tip at a time. Brought to you by Mike and Darren.
Darren, today let's talk about protection from financial scams. So what can our seniors do to safeguard their finances?
The main point is to never share personal information over the phone or online, especially passwords and banking details.
Yeah, great advice. How about recognising potential scams?
Always be wary of unsolicited calls or emails and verify the source of who's contacting you.
Yep, so it's all about staying vigilant, and if you're unsure, ask a family member to help you out.
And of course, always remember, you could have your own free Care Alert GPS alert system through your My Aged Care or NDIS funding. Visit carealert.com.au for details.
That's another safety tip brought to you by Care Alert, Australia's #1 personal alert system.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Always relevant. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes to 8. Andrew's got the unique Homestyles food voucher coming his way for kicking off that debate about Jimmy Webster, the St Kilda footballer, and the potential ban he faces this week. Get unique pies, sausage rolls and donuts from your local independent supermarket. Unique. It's time for something better. There'll be more of it on the sports show tonight, but the other thing we're pointing you towards with the sports show at the moment is that if you're part of the sports show and you get on air with the guys to talk about whatever the hell you want, you're in the running to win a Bazina sports scooter worth $8,500. Thanks to our great friends at Steinborn Automotive. This is superb.
They've got it down on the 3rd floor. I had a look at it the other day. It's terrific.
As I say, all you need to do is call into the sports show and you'll be in the running to win that terrific prize weekdays from 4 p.m. Find 40 years experience plus Hyundai, Ford, Mitsubishi and Mazda at Steinborn Automotive. Visit steinborner.com.au. If you're on the Foodland Supermarkets, Facebook and YouTube live stream, note Stacey Lee's in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Morning to you, Stacey.
Morning, gents.
How you going there, Stacey?
Yeah, good. How are you?
We'll try not to talk about Taylor Swift. We've been yabbering away for the last 10 days about Tay-Tay. Anyway.
I know.
She's gone.
Someone said to me yesterday, how's your PTSD going? And I said, oh, sorry, what? And they said, your post-Taylor Swift depression. It's not that bad, come on. It was a good concept.
Yeah. More life.
Well, I think
more life than Taylor.
Yeah.
That's
I think lucky for me, I went to Pink a few days later at the Oval.
Well, that's a good way to shake off the blues.
Yeah. And she was amazing as well, you know, the acrobatics she does around the stadium.
Yeah, that show sounded unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you think the Libs federally might have some post-Dunkley by-election depression? Will the Libs here have something similar? The acronym will work because it's Dunstan here.
Yeah, post-Dunstan. I like that. Yeah, look, I reckon they'd be looking at those results pretty closely, the Liberal Party in SA. If there was a swing to Labor like there was in Dunkley, it's not looking good for them. Although, I will point out, there was a swing towards the Liberal Party in Dunkley. There's no One Nation or Palmer United Party candidate this time round, so I'm not sure it's that much of a swing if you take those votes out. If you take them out, I'm not sure it's that
because they're Conservative votes that sort of by right should be with the Liberal Party anyway.
Yeah, but in Dunstan the difference is 5 candidates, obviously Labor, Greens, Liberal, and then we have Animal Justice Party and Family First, which I think is the Jack Snelling, Tom Kenyon Family First.
Oh, yeah.
So you would expect
rebooted one.
Yeah. So you would expect all of the preferences from majority of the preferences from the Greens. I think usually they do 80% to Labor, 20% to Liberal. So
do you think we were saying before, Stace, that it looked like Peter Dutton was a bit of a one-trick pony trying to just scare everyone about boat people, and when that boat turned up the other day, he's like, "Oh, that's it. You know, we're under siege." You know, the whole sovereign borders is a disaster now that Labor's back in charge. And I said, well, hang on a minute. We caught the guys and we've sent them to Nauru. So what's the drama? Like, boats are going to turn up.
Yep.
You know.
We have policies
For
enacted.
the sort of like middle class seats that the Liberals need to win back. And Dunstan at the state level is a very middle class seat. I know the campaign's not being fought over border protection, but there seems to be a bit of a sort of like reheating of the souffle for the Libs when it comes to the border protection stuff at a time when people actually want a more rounded policy proposal from a political party.
Yeah, border protection, and then also on power, the conversation always goes to nuclear, which, you know, I think a lot of people are coming around on the idea of nuclear, especially with the smaller modular generators that you now see overseas.
Yeah.
But what else do the Liberal Party have federally? It's always border protection. It's always nuclear. You know, I'm not sure what else they really have that they're offering. That's federally, though.
What are they offering here statewise for Dunstan at the moment? Because it just seems to be that the entire campaign's been put on the defensive in the last week.
Yeah.
Since we last spoke with regard to revelations about Anna Finizio wanting to join Kai Ma's office in just the last 4 years. Her business dealings, was she a director of a company that didn't go particularly well, or was she a paper director? They're finding it hard to put a positive picture forward for the voters in Dunstan at the moment.
I'll be really interested to see how this week goes because of the ramping stats that were released. Was it yesterday or Saturday?
How bad were they?
Yeah, terrible. Was it the fourth worst on record or something?
I
like
thought it was the worst on record.
Not the
Was it?
worst. I've got
Or the worst February record.
Look at my list of ramping stats every month for the last 4 years on my phone here. Yes, this is how I spend my spare time, folks. Apologies for that. Pretty bad though. The worst on record was November last year, 4,285. This is 3,757. And look,
progress. But that's still higher than anything that was ever recorded when the Liberals were in power.
Anything ever recorded.
And February, like the shortest month of the year, at a time when the climate has been superb, how are we going to go in July?
Yep. And the government keeps saying they've got, all these extra beds coming online later in the year, but like I keep saying, this hodgepodge, 20 beds here, 15 beds here, and a couple $1 million here for 4 beds. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to make if in February 2024 we're at 3,757 ramping hours. So I think that'll start to resonate in Dunstan. I was about to say Dunkley.
The state Libs seem to have this problem where they can't frame debates themselves. They should have just been absolutely from the start saying, this election is about one thing and one thing only: ramping.
Yep.
It is only about ramping.
Yep.
It's not about cost of living. It's not about tax policy. It's not about stamp duty or transport. It is only about ramping.
Send this state government a message that you're not happy with their broken promise on ramping.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is your opportunity to tell them how they're doing. This is their report card. Yeah, it's been none of that.
Well, and the Premier launched their campaign, and I think their candidate at an ambulance station as well, so it would have been perfect. Even the government is shaping this by-election at an ambulance station. They're aware that ramping is an issue, and what have they done to fix it? But no, I think, like I keep saying, I think the Liberal Party will just fall over their own feet on this one again.
Oh, I'll be stunned if they don't hold the seat. I just think it would be an absolute debacle for them. But apparently David Spears was out there on Saturday, and the Libs think that some of Labor's attacks on Anna Finizio might have backfired, and they're saying that, and this is a middle class seat, a lot of women with careers and independent sort of women working in the community, and he said that he picked up quite a lot of sentiment of like, how dare Labor release this woman's employment details? Now, I don't know whether that's just a bit of mayo from the Libs to try to get a sort of persecution element into the vote. But I did think when that story came out last week, geez, this is a real political haymaker, this one. This is trademark Coots coming in with his ears pinned back.
I did think the same thing. I don't know why, as a Liberal Party member, you'd want to work for the Labor Party. I'm not sure I could ever justify that for me, but I did think the same thing. Well, if you apply for a job, what part of it is meant to be confidential and what part of it isn't? And if you know that it's going to then be used publicly against you at some point, I don't know if you were considering working for the Labor Party, this would make you think twice.
I think the thing is, it goes to the sort of all things to all people problem that she's got, which is one day she's like never been a more dedicated resident of the western suburbs, running for Hindmarsh, to now, I'm Norwood to my bootstraps, and I've always loved living out here. It's like, well, make up your mind.
The only risk and downside to the strategy, as I saw it,
her election song should be "I've been everywhere, man."
I've been Western Subs MP. Labor. Yeah,
See, I never bought into that.
I've been a Labor staffer, Liberal staffer.
Yeah. The only risk is to the whole strategy is I wonder what her name recognition was in the electorate before all this. Now, again, I wouldn't say not do it. I think it's been a brilliantly executed takedown. But it's done two things. Everyone knows who she is, and she's got a lot of airtime. And I actually think she comes across really well when she speaks. I think she's a good media performer. And we're seeing lots of her where there's another alternate reality where no one's ever heard her say anything because she doesn't get a grab up on the news, but until the night before the election.
Yeah.
And I think that's played to a strength of hers. Again, we're talking the smallest of negatives on the strategy, because I would have said yes every single time.
And on that point, I think a lot of the time it's how you respond in these situations. And you saw David Spears and Anna Finizio come out at a press conference, all of the media invited, and respond to it. Has anyone heard from Cressida O'Hanlon, Labor's candidate? They won't put her out. They won't put her up for interviews. They won't get her to respond. So I think that says a lot as well.
Yeah, what does she sound like? It's weird that she's not doing interviews.
Yeah. On this matter, why isn't she there standing next to Coots? If he's doing the takedown, I mean, Anna Finizio is responding to the concerns around her, and Cressida's not responding to the concerns around her. Coots is responding for her.
Would suggest they're feeling pretty confident about their position if the candidate doesn't need to do media interviews. Let's have a look. Let's look about the Keen Office Furniture hot seat this week. Of course, Stacey, brought to us by Keen Office Furniture and Keen Education Furniture, leading the way in office and education furniture. And they're right here in South Australia too. A wonderful company. I don't know if you do want to be in the hot seat or you don't want to be in the hot seat. Who is it this week? You know what? Don't worry about defining it.
Yeah.
Matt Abraham never defined
All right.
what the spinometer, whether it was good or bad.
Yeah.
People can work it out themselves.
I haven't even decided if this week's a good or a bad hot seat. But just the person in the hot seat this week is Nick Champion, Planning Minister.
Yes.
There was a report done late last year, I think, into trees and urban canopy coverage.
I remember that.
Yeah, that the government's yet to respond to. I think it's probably due around now. The bit in the report that has really piqued my interest and the interest of a lot of developers around South Australia is they're going to change the definition of a protected tree. You know how we've got regulated trees, we've got protected trees. They're going to reduce the criteria. So there's going to be
more protected trees.
To be way more protected trees.
And aren't they going to something like quadruple the fines for damaging trees as well?
Yes, which I support. The fines at the moment are
I've got no issue with
stupid.
that.
I mean, you can knock down a tree and it's like pocket change for a developer. So I'm in support of that, but it's the changing of the definition of regulated and protected trees. So they're reducing it from 3 metres down to 2. So any tree that was 3 metres now only has to be 2 metres to be protected.
You know what?
You know what's interesting? Can I just ask a question? How many trees are between 2 and 3 metres high at Theberton?
I was literally going to say, between Stacey's, the start of that sentence and the end of the sentence, 10 years got added to the Crows headquarters.
That's right.
Thank you, Stace. Thank you.
Stace.
Let's check traffic thanks to Keys. Are you tired of back pain? We'll try Keys at kieser.com.au.
Thanks, Will. At Smithfield, residual delays from an earlier crash on Main North Road near Curtis Road. Nothing too bad, though. A few works at Myrtle Bank to look out for. Cross Road near Fullerton Road. A little bit sluggish at the moment at Prospect for works too. Main North Road near to Costa Avenue. Getting busy. Brighton Road at Glenelg East with the camera of the parade at Kensington Gardens. Breakfast is sorted at OTR from 5 to 11 a.m. with $5 toasties, all toasted to golden crunchy perfection. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
NRG Solar have moved to a new location. It's bigger and better, and their new warehouse is fully stocked with wholesale solar and battery equipment. So, if you're looking to save money on electricity and help our environment, don't wait. Visit NRG Solar at their new office on South Road, St Mary's, where every 3 customers refer someone they know, which means they must be doing something right. Call into NRG Solar at their new premises, 1275 South Road, or visit nrgsolar.com.au.
Before you do a thesis in dishwasher, depart on an oven odyssey, or make a pilgrimage up Mount Washing Machine, just Just trying to work out what appliances to get? Drop into Adelaide Appliance Gallery. We're here to make your life easier. We've got the best advice, best appliances, and the best offers on SMEG. Save up to 15% with special discounts on fridges, cookers, dishwashers, and more. That's 15% off. Make your life easier with Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St Peters.
Now, let's say you've signed a building contract, work is underway in your dream home, everyone's excited, and then one day, crunch, your builder hits rock while digging your footings.
So what happens next? Well, most builders will send you a nice apologetic letter, but then they'll bump up their price with a variation.
But not Rossdale Homes. When you sign their absolute fixed price contract, there are no hidden costs or nasty surprises. The price is fixed, and that's why it's the industry's strongest contract.
So before you build, talk to Adelaide's most trusted builder, Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. On time, on budget, on the job.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Rowey Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base, search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
6 to 8. Jade Robin's out on the road with us for us, thanks to the great people at Dutton's. Good morning to you, Jade.
Good morning, Will and Dave. Great to be with you again. Now, a bit of a scary incident happened over the weekend in the CBD for a taxi driver. Now, he was assaulted and involved in a carjacking in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Now, it's alleged that a man hailed a cab on King William Street in the city around 4 a.m, asking to go to Hindley Street. Now, when he got inside, he allegedly hit the driver on the shoulder several times and forced him out of the car. Now, the taxi was tracked using its GPS to McDonald's on Main North Road in Paraka. He's very cheeky, this one. This so-and-so was found in the Macca's lineup waiting to order, so obviously couldn't care less about what he's done. Police arrested the man. He's 36 years of age, charged him with illegal use, assault and property damage. Now, he was refused bail and he'll face court today. Now, I've been out and about on the streets this morning talking to a few taxi drivers about safety on the roads, and one of them was Bruce. Now, he's a retired taxi driver, but just recently picked it up again just to earn a bit of extra cash and just keep himself busy. And it was an interesting chat because he said he's really noticed a different tone out on the roads, especially now that the credit crunch has hit. People's attitudes have changed, and that safety on the roads, he has to be really careful now with who he picks up and really, well, who he doesn't pick up. Meet Bruce. Bruce, how long have you been driving taxis for?
Well, I retired 6 years ago, and I sort of painted the goal 10 times and had a few coffees and a game or two of golf with my mates. And one day I did absolutely nothing, didn't get it finished, and I had to finish it the next day. I thought, I'm in trouble. So I grabbed a cab licence. You're self-employed in these things. You get out and about. You see a lot of things that you don't see. We're creatures of habit. We go to the same shop, same service station, park in the same area. We do that because it's easy. But this opens our eyes up. We see it through the eyes of visitors and tourists. I can drive a million times and I won't see anything, but someone says, look, how about 160 Grenfell Street? Wow, I've seen it, but I've never looked at it. So it's been a very, very exciting time. Now, I'm an aged man, and we were talking a little bit about safety this morning at coffee, and the situation came up. This is why I'm not Uber. We've got security in the taxis. Whilst it's always a comfort, people will be people. And I think over the time that I have been driving, the stress and the cost of living, let's not harp on it. It's a real thing. You earn about $5 to $10 an hour driving one of these things. I do it to do something. This is for me, just to do something, all right?
And Bruce, have you ever been threatened? Have you ever felt unsafe while driving a cab?
No, I haven't. And thank goodness I've got a few hours under the belt now. However, I only drive during daylight time, and normally I'd have my doors locked at a hail, or generally airport. So you've got a reasonable... I've learnt over the years certain areas I don't go to.
This incident that happened on the weekend with the carjacking of the taxi driver, what are you guys saying in the industry? Are people worried?
I haven't spoken to any of my colleagues, but people, we're always worried. I mean, someone can get accosted, even this young lady here. Someone could duck out, knock her on the head, race off. Everyone's vulnerable. It's not just taxi drivers, it's all of us. So there's nothing specific, even though we do have people in close proximity, and when we're concentrating on driving, we don't know what's happening in the back. But we've got little clues where I like to sit people so we can keep an eye on things. If I'm at a stand and we're really not allowed to refuse a job. However, if they look intoxicated, out of line, rowdy, we can refuse.
Well, any passenger would be happy to have you, it would be very lucky to have you,
We have a lot of
Bruce.
fun. Sometimes I've got to throw them out the cab.
Sounded like a lovely bloke. Did Bruce the cab driver?
He did. Isn't that sad, though, that it's at the point now where there's some suburbs you just won't go to?
So, and when I get my
And you
car
won't work at
serviced
night.
once a year, and I'll get a cab there, it's always a good chat with because it's a during the day cab drive. Everyone I've spoken to, have done over the last few years, have always said, I used to do nights, but I don't do them anymore. I'm just a daytime cab driver because it's just so much more pleasant.
Yeah, it's terrible.
5AA News is coming up. Breaking it ain't not too far away.
I was just doing my job. I didn't think I'd get injured.
The doctor said it was a routine procedure. Right.
The car came out of nowhere and it smashed right into us.
At DBH Lawyers, we're here to listen to your story. Our team of local South Australian lawyers will help you navigate the law and find the best way forward. We're with you. We're for you. We're DBH Lawyers. dbh.com.au.
With help from Fluorio Milk Company, cafes all over Adelaide have joined the fight to reduce plastic waste. Instead of single-use plastic bottles, they've introduced reusable 18-litre kegs. Over recent months, a phenomenal amount of single-use plastic bottles have been eliminated, and every day the tally grows. Fluorio Milk Company, together with cafes, supermarkets, schools, restaurants, hotels and workplaces, expect to save our planet from millions of single-use plastic bottles. Visit fluoriomilkco.com.au for more.
The latest local, national and international news for South Australia. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Moseley sunny and 30 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra Clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
2 people have been arrested in Blair Athol this morning. Police were called to Main North Road just before 3 after witnesses reported seeing a man and woman trying to smash their way into a business. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says the pair became violent as police tried to speak to them, with the woman allegedly spitting at officers.
Capsicum spray was deployed and the pair were safely arrested. Both the man and the woman, who are both aged 35, have been charged with disorderly behaviour and hindering police. The woman also charged with assaulting an emergency services worker and property damage.
Melbourne will host its largest gathering of foreign leaders in years as the ASEAN summit gets underway. More from Michael Packy.
10 leaders from Southeast Asian countries will start arriving for 3 days of key talks. The gathering marks 50 years of diplomatic relations between Australia and the ASEAN countries. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will host a special meeting with his Malaysian counterpart this afternoon. The leaders of Vietnam, Singapore and Indonesia will also be here as trade and security dominate discussions. The summit will be held in a heavily fortified Melbourne Convention Centre, with organisers expecting protests over the human rights record of some of these countries.
King Charles appears likely to make the trip to Australia this year. The federal government will begin talks with the states and territories this week in preparation for a royal visit. King Charles has put public appearances on hold in recent weeks after being diagnosed with cancer. Some Liberal MPs are urging the federal opposition to develop new policies in the wake of the Dunkley by-election loss. Labor's held on to the seat despite a swing in support to the coalition. The opposition leaders vowing to soon announce plans for a nuclear power in Australia. Independent Senator Jackie Labby says Peter Dutton needs to provide a credible alternative.
He's going to need to pick up his game. He's just over 12 months out, so he really needs to come out, work out where their policies are, where they're standing, what they're going to offer in 12 months' time, and take that to an election. I suggest he get started now.
There have been moving tributes to the lives lost on Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. More from Brian Wilson.
Families, friends and supporters of the 239 people lost in the Malaysian Airlines tragedy gathered in Kuala Lumpur to mark the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of the Boeing 777. 6 Australians were amongst the passengers on the routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March 2014. Amongst the tributes, an announcement of a new offer from US marine robotics company Ocean Infinity of another search on a no-find, no-fee basis. While senior representatives of the Malaysian government attended the commemoration, they said that they will not support any search without compelling new evidence. The families of those lost lit 239 candles, continuing their call for answers.
And Kylie Minogue has received the Global Icon Award at the Brit Awards. The Aussie superstar celebrated by doing a shoey from a black stiletto. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $1,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Outlander.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. There are calls for St Kilda veteran Jimmy Webster to receive a 10-week ban for his bump on North Melbourne captain Jai Simpkin. Webster's shoulder collected Simpkin in the head, leaving him concussed during yesterday's practice match. Meantime, Adelaide forward Riley Thilthorpe is set to miss the start of the season after scans confirmed meniscus damage to his left knee. Well, Australia's cricketers will prepare for Friday's second test against New Zealand. That's after a comprehensive first-up win in Wellington. Meantime, New South Wales will resume at 8 for 465 in the Sheffield Shield clash against South Australia, giving the Blues an overall lead of 178 runs with a day to play. And the career of Victorian batsman Will Pucovski has suffered another blow after he was forced to retire with yet another concussion after being struck by a bouncer.
Oh, here we go. This is not good. This is not good. Lukovsky's been hit, and this is a concerning situation.
Aussie Alex de Minaur has claimed his 8th career title after winning the Mexican Open, beating Casper Ruud in the final. Fellow Aussie Hannah Green has won the World Golf Championship event in Singapore thanks to a stunning 30-foot putt for birdie on the final hole. To soccer, Manchester City is back within a point of Liverpool on top of the EPL table following a 3-1 win at home against Manchester United. There were 2 games to kick off the NRL season in Las Vegas, with Manly beating South Sydney 36-24, while the Sydney Roosters upset the Brisbane Broncos 20-10. But the first round has been overshadowed by an alleged racism incident involving 2 players. And at the LA Rugby Sevens, Australia has defeated Brazil 26-5 in the women's quarterfinals. The men's side will play the USA in the 7th place playoff. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery bonus prize deadline is midnight Friday. homelottery.com.au.
Morning there. Got traffic lights out of action at Wingfield today. It's on Grand Junction Road near Hanson Road. That's due to a truck into a Stobie pole there. Mount Osman speeds reduced on the freeway up track near the tunnels. That's for works. And Tonsley speeds reduced on the Southern Expressway due to heavy traffic as you're coming onto South Road. Busy Brighton Road, Brighton, with a camera at Shakespeare Avenue at McGill. Uni Super is open for every Australian. Awarded most satisfied members by CanStar. Uni Super makes greater super easier. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Moseley sunny and 30, sunny tomorrow 33, partly cloudy on Wednesday 30 and 32 for Thursday. At the moment 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Keen Office Furniture and Keen Education Furniture have the latest in office and education furniture all in one showroom. And the Keen staff love furniture. So whilst your colleagues talk politics at the water cooler, the Keen team discuss full office fit-outs and ergonomic chairs. Except last week when Shane told the team the scratches on his face were from a koala he tried feeding whilst picnicking in the Adelaide Hills. Thanks, Shane. Keen delivers and sets up furniture at schools and workplaces in Mount Barker and all over SA. Keen Office Furniture and Keen Education Furniture. Leaders in office and education furniture.
Xero helps you see your numbers in real time, which means cash flow here
Shows up over here.
and receipts here.
Can be seen all the way over here.
Yep, Xero's really great.
Well, what's that about grapes?
Xero is business, but better. Try Xero free for 30 days. Visit xero.com.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
In Adelaide and across South Australia, this is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Then I saw her face.
Rowey Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Beautiful picture of the city on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live screen. I can't see the sky any longer because we've got the advertising hoarding here. It's like sitting up against the sight screen at Adelaide Oval. But outside the window...
Don't stand up and, move seats in the middle of Will's delivery. He gets very upset.
Exactly right.
I'm halfway through a sentence, folks. Can't you see?
Yeah. Not a cloud in the sky, it looks like. Beautiful day on the way. Beautiful week of weather on the way as well. This morning started cool, but the day will be no exception. There is a chance that the King Charles, will be visiting Australia, as you've heard in 5AA News right throughout the morning, despite his ongoing cancer battle. The Prime Minister confirmed yesterday that Australia is preparing for a possible visit from King Charles later this year. Now, an intriguing subplot to this is that the states need to prepare pitches, a la, why does the King need to come to South Australia?
So like live golf for royals.
Exactly right. I don't think there's any...
Or gather round.
You're not stumping up cash out of the bottomless pit that is the Major Events Fund. You are...
Using the Leon Bignell beer coaster to explain how much money will be injected into the economy if the King comes.
Yes, tenfold.
Yeah.
What's the pitch we make to get the King to South Australia? Why does he need to come here? What does he need to see? What does he need to do? Is there some link with history that we can make?
What about if we get him to do a rerun of what his mum did, and we proclaim a suburb, Charlieville?
Yeah, we could do that. Give him one.
Because she was here
or give him a town.
Announce Elizabeth.
Mm.
There is a town called Charleston, isn't there? Is there?
In South Australia?
I don't know.
Well, there's a city in, I think, South Carolina that's Charlestown, and there's a suburb of Boston. Do we have a Charleston in South Australia?
I'm not sure.
Well, let us know if we do. We might have to. Maybe that could be the reason we get him here. 8223
There's a town in the hills called Charleston.
Okay. Actually, I think you might be right. You can text us to on 0480 08 1395.
Well, maybe he could go there and turn into our newest satellite city, like Elizabeth.
I think that's now you're talking.
All we need is a car plant.
What's part of our pitch to get Charles to South Australia? We've got $100 worth of unique home-style foods coming your way. If you can come up with... We'll put them all together, and that can be part of the backbone of the pitch to get Charles to SA. It's time for Breaking It 8.
Well, Australia's biggest grape-growing region is on the brink of collapse. That's the Riverland, Sunraysia and Riverina. The Riverland, obviously, a hugely important part of South Australia's primary production. Now, I spent quite a lot of time over the last couple of weeks talking to grape growers there. These poor blokes, the prices that they are being paid, not even close to break even. I don't know how they're keeping the show on the road at the moment. So before the China tariffs came in and when everything was going fine and the wine companies were paying a reasonable amount for the grapes, they were getting $700 a tonne. They're now getting $150 a tonne. And on top of the problems around pricing, they're still being affected to some extent by the Chinese tariffs. They're also being affected by the fact that in the early 2000s, we went like a bull at a gate with all of these red grape plantings here when the Round Labor government was in. And on top of that, there were all of these federal tax incentives for investing in grapes as well. There's now reduced demand for older big style reds. So in the midst of this, a lot of these grape growers now feel like they're at a point where some of the wine companies and maybe even governments think that it would actually be better if they are just driven out of the industry. Jim Giagnis is a long-standing Riverland grape grower, and we have him on the line now. Jim, good morning, mate. Good to be chatting to you again. I don't know how.
Good to be here.
I just don't know how people are coping with this, mate, particularly in the middle of harvest. Like, are people even bothering to harvest their grapes at the moment?
Well, at the moment, people are in pretty well two minds on what to do. Harvest is pretty well halfway through. People, when it comes to the reds, because that's the biggest ones that have been affected, decide, because I'm also actually a contractor as well, and my growers are telling me, don't worry about picking the reds, we'll throw them on the ground, it's not worth it. The crop wasn't quite there, and now with the couple of weeks of heat, especially with Shiraz, it has really diminished, and people are just not worrying about picking it at all. And for $120, it's not worth it.
Do you think, Jim, is it at the point where a lot of people are just saying there's no future in this, I'm just going to pull my vines out and plant something else? And do you think that some of the big sort of corporate wineries would actually be happy if that happened?
Well, I think that seems to be the norm, that they wineries, even it feels like even governments want somehow to reduce the amount of growers in the Riverland and maybe in the inland regions by they're talking about 20 and 30%. But you know what we don't want, because there's always been vine pool schemes, exit schemes, and then all of a sudden things get better and they allow people to plant as many vines as they want again. Yeah. And then the problem becomes the same again. You know, we need structure. We want governments to come in and say they put a stop to plantings and look at things as and how many acres do we need of reds? How many acres do we need of whites that can be sustainable for everybody, for wineries and for growers?
Because I spoke to Claire Scriven, the minister, last week, and she said the state government set aside something like $300,000 to come up with a 10-year plan for the Riverland wine industry. It feels like there was a lot of short-sightedness 20-odd years ago, doesn't it, where people were just so excited about getting in and then when...
Look, everyone jumped on the bandwagon when... I mean, I've been a grower for a long time. You know, my father came here in the early 60s and I've taken over, and now my son is looking to take over, but it becomes a bit hard. You know, you think, did I do the right thing, allowing my son to stay on the land? Because, and that's what everybody's thinking at the moment with their younger generation, you know, and that the problem is going to be that, you know, if growers fall out and the younger generation doesn't come back in, there won't be a wine industry in South Australia. That's the issue. You know, they have to think hard of what they actually want to do. And with this 10-year plan and the blueprint, I don't think there was enough consultation with the right people. Myself, that's my thinking, because you know, a plan for the Riverland is. I mean, we're talking about the biggest wine region in Australia. You know, it's been around for a long time. It's the steam engine of the wine industry. Yeah. It's been carrying the wine industry for a long time, because, you know, you might say the Barosas and the Clares and all that, but, you know, the majority of their grapes comes out of the Riverland.
Yeah,
I mean, people probably don't even know that, but it does.
Well, I certainly don't know if they buy it Coles or Woolworths' own stores, because there's all sorts of stuff getting relabelled by them. Hey, Jim, we're glad to have spoken to you, mate, because we want to keep public attention on this, and we want to keep the political pressure on too. Jim Giagnis there from the Riverland, second-generation grape grower. One grower I spoke to said that the feeling is so hot that they are even thinking about doing one of those French-style blockades after harvest. Just all the tractors come down from Loxton, Barmera, you name it, and blockade North Terrace. Good on you, Jim. Great chatting to you, mate, and we'll keep paying attention to that very important story.
How do we describe ASEAN earlier this morning, David? It was a sort of the incredibly important page 12 story where people read past it, not necessarily through it, albeit it's hugely important story for our country, the part of the world we're in, and making sure we have a broad range of allies when it comes to everything from trade issues to combating Chinese posturing, the kind of thing that impacts grape growers that we've been talking about over the course of the morning today. Well, the Prime Minister has called in to the program this morning because he's at ASEAN this morning and he had a couple of spare moments. Prime Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be with you. And it is indeed very relevant for South Australia and the wine industry there. ASEAN represents our second largest market, and that is absolutely critical just to our north, those growing economies of Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam. That represents potential markets as the middle class grows. We are living in close proximity to the fastest growing region of the world in human history, and that presents itself as a huge opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to welcoming all of the leaders here to Melbourne over the next few days. We have a bilateral meeting with Malaysia today to kick it off with Anwar Ibrahim, the leader of Malaysia.
Hey, PM, can I just ask you must have a bit of a spring in your step after Saturday's election result there in Dunkley. A lot of people were saying this was a chance for Peter Dutton to fire a big shot across your bows, but it clearly didn't eventuate along those lines.
Well, it was a positive outcome. We had a cracker of a candidate in Jodie Bellier, and she'll be a real local champion to follow on, of course, from the tragic circumstances of losing Peter Murphy, aged just 50, to cancer. And Jodie is someone who was found by Peter Murphy. She works with disadvantaged women through a program called the Women's Spirit Program in the region around Frankston. So Jodie, I think, will be a really strong advocate. But importantly as well, I think it might, I hope, get some of the people who ran such a negative campaign through Advance to have a second thought about some of the misinformation and quite frankly nasty campaign that was run trying to press various buttons out there during the by-election. And obviously
you mean talking there about border protection issues?
Oh, and just the way that it was done about foreigners, and there was some not too subtle comments made essentially seeking to divide the community. And I think that was not positive. I don't want to see Australia go down the American route. I noticed a very incisive article by Mr. Pemberthy on the weekend about polarisation in US politics and
flattery will get you everywhere, PM.
Where that's got to. Never hurts to compliment the interviewer during a live interview. But it was, you're right. Like, we don't want that sort of stuff in Australia, and it was rejected by the voters of Dunkley, and our vote went up, which is remarkable during a by-election. But we know there's more work to be done. We're concentrating on cost of living measures each and every day and on getting things right. That's what this ASEAN Summit's about, working with the great Don Farrell on trade and Penny Wong on foreign affairs. It's a real South Australian team that we have in this area, and it's in Australia's national interest. 1 in 4 of our jobs is dependent upon trade, and that's why these next few days are really important.
Have you got a potentially awkward conversation to have with the Thailand representative, given the fuel efficiency standard policy and the concerns that they've raised with regard to what that would mean to car exports to Australia?
No, not at all. There'll be no banning of any vehicles here. That was part of the ridiculous scare campaign overseas. Every industrialised country in the world has fuel efficiency standards except for Russia. And I don't think anyone at this ASEAN Summit wants to line up with Vladimir Putin and their standards. I don't think that's the model. All we're doing here is the same standards that have existed in the United States since the 1970s, exist
But the Thai industry minister has said this will lead to a decrease in exports from Thailand to Australia.
No, well, local parochial interests attempt to push parochialism. That wouldn't be the first time. We have an interest here in getting access to more efficient vehicles. We're not telling anyone what they can drive, how far they can drive them. But I tell you what, if you have more efficient vehicles, you can drive further for every dollar that you put in the tank. And that's the objective here, simple as that.
Prime Minister, can you see any circumstances whereby you would ever change your mind, as others have, Bob Carr being one of them from the Labor side, where you would ever change your mind on nuclear power?
Well, it doesn't add up. I think nuclear power can work overseas and does work. I've got no problem at all.
But what if there was a business model showing it could work? I mean, we've had people like our former Governor Kevin Scarce talking about how much money we could have made from nuclear waste disposal in SA. That's the disposal side. Some people say it could actually work economically.
Well, no one has ever been prepared to put up a dollar. And that's the truth of the matter. The market is what's determining where that investment goes. And the market shows that renewables is the cheapest form of energy, and in South Australia in particular.
Is there a moratorium on nuclear power in Australia still?
Oh, there is, put in by the Howard government, by the way.
Yeah, but who's going to put up a dollar when there's a moratorium?
That well-known lefty.
No, but there's no one saying that, hey, we want to invest in this. No one.
Because there's a rule that says you can't.
No, that's because it
waste of a time putting
up.
together a business case, wouldn't it? No, but why do you need a rule if the business case doesn't stack up to ban it?
Because it doesn't stack up.
Well, we'll get rid of the moratorium then.
Well, the Howard government did that. Get John Howard in. He makes an appearance when there's
the Prime Minister,
though. It's a distraction from the debate, and every 10 years, you both have been around a while, not as long as I have been, but you know that there's a debate every 10 years. There was at the beginning of the Abbott government. Guess what? Nothing happened for that decade. There was during the Howard government. Guess what? Nothing happened. This is just an excuse for inaction on cheaper and cleaner energy. I was at Whyalla last year at the steelworks there. Turning off, the coal furnace was turned off in the week when I was there. You know what they're doing? They're investing in hydrogen, green hydrogen, powered by solar in order to produce green steel. The vision that Peter Malinauskas has for that region, the Spencer Gulf, and for cleaner, cheaper energy driving manufacturing is, I think, quite visionary. I want to work with the South Australian government on a real plan, not on something that doesn't stack up. Meanwhile, nothing happens. I mean, that's what happened under the former government. The problem was that nothing happened in terms of investment and setting ourselves up for the future.
Hey, we're glad we're still talking to you, Prime Minister, because I was a bit worried we might have been on your you-know-what list after our last interview about the $275 power bill thing.
Oh, no, I'm not precious, David. If I was precious, I'd never talked with you. We would have ended our relationship decades ago, mate.
Always a pleasure. Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, with a surprise phone-in chat there. Talk to you again soon, Prime Minister.
Thanks very much, guys.
26 minutes after 8. What do you think, folks? 8223 000. You can text us on the Duttons text line as well, 044808 1395. We might take a quick break. In fact, we'll check traffic and come back with some of your thoughts in just a moment. Keezer, if you're tired of back pain, try Keezer, KIESER.com.au.
Thanks, Will. At Mount Osmond, speeds reduced on the freeway up track before the tunnels. That's for works. At Tonsley, speeds reduced on the Southern Expressway due to heavy traffic as you're coming onto South Road. Wingfield lights out on Grand Junction Road and Hanson Road, and also Richard Street due to a truck into a Stobie pole. Busy Brighton Road, Brighton. Slow Marion Road at the Anzac Highway intersection with the Camaradoothie Street at Malvern. Need new tyres? Get 30% off all Kumo tyres at My Car. Hurry, ends on the 10th of March. Purchase online, over the phone or in-store at My Car today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Before you do a thesis in dishwasher, depart on an oven odyssey, or make a pilgrimage up Mount Washing Machine, Just trying to work out what appliances to get? Drop into Adelaide Appliance Gallery. We're here to make your life easier. We've got the best advice, best appliances, and the best offers on Smeg. Choose from Smeg's linear range of ovens and save up to $1,200 during the clearance sale. Make your life easier with Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St Peters.
Thinking about a solar battery? Don't wait. Connect with NRG Solar and bring home a solar battery with a rock-solid 10-year warranty. Use the energy you generate during the day. Store some for later, reducing reliance on energy providers and putting money back in your pocket. See NRG Solar in their new premises at St Mary's. Bigger place, better space, some amazing people. Visit NRG Solar now at 1275 South Road or call 1300 858 160.
Well, the swear jar is back at Bioban Bathrooms and Kitchens. In fact, it never went away, and I can tell you it's larger than ever. It's more like a swear keg.
And look, despite what you might think a swear jar is, the Bioban swear jar is completely different because it's full of pledges and promises.
For example, now here's one sent to us straight from the Bioban swear jar. It's from Martin the Tiler, affectionately known as Millimetre Martin. Now, he swears you'll love his millimetre perfect craftsmanship, and if you've seen Martin's work, you know what he means. It is impeccable.
And here's one from Rick the Plumber. Rick swears to always clean up after himself, guaranteed. Thank you, Rick. I'm sure that our listeners will hold you to that promise.
For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Bioban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Right now, Toyota Material Handling is having a massive clear-out of 2023 plated forklifts. Score a great deal across a selected range of new Toyota forklifts currently in stock. Counterbalance and reach forklifts, walkie stackers and more. So if it's 2023 plated, get a great Toyota forklift deal. Visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift. T's and C's apply. Offer ends March 31st.
Austrac campers have ingenious storage everywhere. Inside, outside, from the front to the back. There's room to put everything you'll ever need. If only I knew where we've kept the spare toilet rolls.
Oh! Austrac campers!
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
But the Prime Minister is a first-time caller, long-time listener just a few moments ago, and lots of feedback to the chat on the Duttons text line.
Still a lot of negative talk about power prices and the lack of alternatives. Cold Comfort PM to talk renewables to us South Australians who are paying the most for our electricity in this country. You won't be getting my vote. Another one about Labor having its head in the sand on the viability of nuclear power. One here, great show, guys, as usual. Shame you couldn't mention the treason situation to the PM. It would have been interesting to see what he would have said about that. That's a good point, actually. Could have thrown him a question on that. Sort of up against it a bit time-wise with the nuclear chat. And I like this one. From Ian in Morphett Vale. Dave and Will, all you need to say to the King is you'll be a right Charlie if you don't come to South Australia. Come and visit the suburb named after your late mother. We've also got a hospital named after and opened by her. Come to SA and walk down memory lane.
That's a lovely idea. We're trying to come together with the pitch for King Charles to come to South Australia because that's where we're at. There's a chance he's coming to Australia later this year, and the federal government has said, well, states, put together your best Charles itinerary.
Imagine him going to the QEH saying, we couldn't actually make it to the hospital because it was completely surrounded by ramped ambulances.
Well, he could just sit in an ambulance out the front.
Yeah, it was great.
Get the real South Australian health
Yeah, what'd you do?
experience.
Oh, it was great. I visited a hospital. I was just in the car park for 90 minutes.
I think that'd be quite an authentic experience.
Charles ramped. Imagine that.
It's 5AA News time. We're going to talk trains right after 5AA News. The RAA proposed dramatic expansion to SA's rail network, they say, to deal with the 100,000 new commuters that will be on our roads in the absence of a major expansion, given all the housing development that's going on at the moment. We'll delve into that next.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny and 30 with the 8:30 News. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
The Prime Minister says there are huge economic opportunities to be gained out of this week's ASEAN summit. The meeting of Southeast Asian leaders gets underway in Melbourne today. It'll begin with bilateral talks between Anthony Albanese and the Malaysian Prime Minister. Mr Albanese's told David and Will it's an important chance to strengthen our ties with our neighbours.
We are living in close proximity to the fastest growing region of the world in human history. And that presents itself as a huge opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to welcoming all of the leaders here to Melbourne over the next few days.
A man who stole cash and alcohol from a bottle-o at Karalta Park remains on the run. Yesterday afternoon, police were called to the Anzac Highway store after he threatened staff with a weapon believed to be a firearm before taking off. A member of the public tried to confront the offender, causing him to drop the alcohol, but Senior Constable Kate Dawson says he still managed to get away.
Southern District Police, Polaire and police dog Rusty searched the area, but we've been unable to locate the suspect at this time, and detectives will be back on the job today.
A car stolen from Victoria's turned up at Kidman Park. The black Mercedes-Benz was spotted in a driveway last night. Police had cause to search the home, and inside the allegedly found an amount of suspect GHB and methamphetamine, along with cash and pepper spray. A 40-year-old man has been reported. The state government is set to tackle the current skills shortage. A new policy will be released today aimed at ensuring South Australians have the skills they need for secure, well-paid careers now and into the future. Shadow Minister John Gardner says he'll be looking at the details very closely.
If today's announcement by Labor doesn't address the lack of confidence in the non-government training sector and the drop in numbers of apprenticeship commencements, then it will miss the mark.
Donald Trump is a step closer to becoming the 2024 Republican presidential nominee, the former president adding 3 more primaries to his run of victories. More from Lauren Tomasi in the US.
Missouri, Idaho and Michigan are the latest states to be won in a landslide by Donald Trump as the former president edges closer and closer to formally becoming the Republican Party candidate in this year's election. These latest Republican primary contests come just days out from the all-important Super Tuesday here in America, when 16 states in the territory will go to the polls to vote on a party candidate. In a normal election year, this would be peak primary season with a lot of competition. This election, Donald Trump has the race all but won, meaning a Biden-Trump rematch is all but certain.
The health system is being blamed for failing Australians affected by obesity. Around a third of the population is now classified as obese, 2.5 million more than a decade ago. The Obesity Collective Director Tiffany Petrie says it's often a misunderstood condition.
We're telling people to be better when they've been trying, and actually that's counterproductive. People who experience stigma are less likely to be able to keep to their personal health goals. Another one is that our systems are so obesity promoting, and that we've got unhealthy foods everywhere.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Agostino Mitsubishi's Good to Go giveaway is on now. Receive a bonus $2,000 fuel card on 2023 Build Triton.
And Tom Wren, some bad news for the Crows.
Yeah, it's not good, unfortunately, is it, Kendall? Adelaide forward Riley Philthorpe set to miss the start of the season after scans confirmed he suffered damage to the meniscus in his left knee. Meantime, a sickening hit during yesterday's practice match between St Kilda and North Melbourne is set to be referred directly to the AFL Tribunal. Saints veteran Jimmy Webster left the ground and bumped Kangaroos captain Jai Simpkin in the head, leaving him concussed. There are calls for Webster to be banned for up to 10 weeks, but Saints assistant coach Corey Enright has refused to speculate.
Obviously, an incident for the AFL to look at, and we'll just see what unfolds from there and take it from there. Shown some remorse there, and I guess our thoughts are with North Melbourne player in Simpkin, hopefully that he's going to be okay, and obviously you never see anyone want to go down.
Aussie Alex de Minaur has won the Mexican Open for a second year in a row. The Australian world number 9 beat Casper Ruud in straight sets.
An amazing week. Probably a week I didn't really expect, if I'm honest. I came into Mexico not feeling my best and just kept on telling myself to keep putting myself out there, keep giving myself chances, and I think today by far I played my best match of the tournament, so extremely happy with that.
Let's go to golf. Aussie Hannah Green has won her 4th career title in the LPGA Tour after winning the World Championship event in Singapore. 3 birdies in the final 3 holes, securing the win. Meantime, Joaquin Niemann has won another LIV tournament, the Chilean taking out the tournament in Jeddah by 4 shots ahead of South African duo Charles Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen.
Joaquin Niemann could go toe-to-toe with any player on the planet right now.
He's playing well. Minwoo Lee, meantime, Matt Jones was the best of the Aussies in that tournament, finishing 14th, and Minwoo Lee has just teed off in his final round of a PGA event in Florida. He's 4 shots off the lead with the final round set to go into tomorrow after a lengthy delay due to bad weather. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery bonus prize deadline is midnight Friday. homelottery.com.au.
Morning there at Kensington Gardens, carving a motorcycle crash on McGill Road at Clinburn Road. At Wingfield, lights out on Grand Junction Road at Hanson Road and also Richard Street due to a truck into a Stovey pole. Mount Osmond, speeds reduced on the freeway up track before the tunnels, that's for works. And Tonsley, speeds reduced on the Southern Expressway due to heavy traffic as you're coming onto South Road. You find a camera this morning, Bradley Grove at Mitchell Park. From the jeweller that cares, Michael Hill has launched a new foundation that aims to empower 100,000 women and plant up to 1 million trees by 2030. Join them today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Mostly sunny and 30 today, 33 tomorrow, partly cloudy on Wednesday, 30 and 32 for Thursday. At the moment, 18. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Join over 60,000 Adelaide homes and say yes to lowering your energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. Yes offers a range of money-saving solutions to upgrade your home and downgrade your energy bills. With subsidies on ceiling insulation, air conditioning, hot water services and LED lighting installations, rebates on new appliances and incentives for recycling your old fridges, it's easy to say yes to Yes. Find out more about your energy saving solutions. Go to yess.net.au.
Get obsessed with the Honda SUV range at Formula Honda, Modbury and Glen Osmond. Whether it's the compact HRV, the sporty mid-sized Honda ZR-V, or the spacious CR-V. And for a limited time, new Honda SUVs come with a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist, and 5 standard low-price services at $199 each. Visit Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond and test drive today. Vehicles used for a commercial purpose have a 7-year or 200,000 kilometre warranty, whichever occurs first. T's and C's at honda.com.au.
Have you got $50,000 sitting in the bank not doing much? Interested in a direct mortgage investment? Well, you could be earning 10% per annum paid to you monthly. That is right, 10%.
Angus Securities has provided mortgage investment opportunities in South Australia for almost 25 years. Call 1-800-010-800 to discuss this investment offer or visit the Flinders Street office.
Investments are not bank deposits and there's a risk you could lose some or all of your money. You may receive lower than expected returns. Read the PDS carefully to decide if the product is right for you. AFSL 232479.
Visit Angus Securities to access further information, including the offer brochure and TMD.
10% per annum fixed interest paid monthly. You're better off with Angus.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Always trusted. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
20 to 9. Lots of big picture thinking this morning. We spoke with the Prime Minister about the opposition leader's nuclear plan for Australia. We're going to get some real details on before the May budget, as detailed on the front page of the Australian today. Well, detailed on the front page of the Advertiser today is the RAA's plan for a massive rail extension that is required because of the nearly 25,000 new homes that are set to come online. They say, that is the RAA, that amounts to 100,000 new commuters, and basically our road network can't handle it.
Totally.
The extension of the Seaford line, 9Ks to Aldinga by 2030 is part of this plan, and the Gawler line to Concordia. about 7 k's northeast. They've also talked about rail extensions or high-capacity bus links to Dry Creek, where there are 10,000 homes planned. Matt Vachudes is the Senior Traffic Engineer at RAA. Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are we?
Yeah, good, Matt. Given you work in the traffic engineering and modelling and you're doing all that kind of work, in the absence of this kind of extension, what does 100,000 new commuters on our roads look like for South Australians?
Yeah, look, it doesn't look overly great. So we have limited capacity in our road network, and adding 100,000, and probably in the next 5 to 7 years, it will be 100,000 at least, potentially even more commuters, without necessarily a appealing public transport system to use. Realistically means they're largely going to be on the roads and causing increased congestion and travel times across the network.
Do you think South Australia needs to have a discussion, Matt, about tolls? Or because it seems to be this article of faith now on both sides of politics that not having toll roads is as South Australian as, wide streets, Fritz and Cooper's Ale. But we could get more road infrastructure more quickly and more effectively if we had tolls, couldn't we?
Yeah, look, it is certainly a model that can fund the roads. It's generally not something we've been supportive of, and interstate examples have been, mixed. We still see, in some of our eastern states, significant congestion levels and things on the roads. Not just necessarily the toll roads, but also the rest of the network. So, look, it's certainly, a model of road funding that is available, but, in a South Australian context, not something that we would, be too strongly supportive.
Well, I think, you're dead right in terms of advocating rail, and we were talking earlier about just the staggering growth in a place like Aldinga over the last 15 years, where it went from feeling like you were in a sort of York Peninsula style beachside spot to suddenly it's a mega suburb. That's an obvious one. What about the hills, though? There's no, there's so much growth up there. Is cost prohibitive? Is that the reason why the RAA wasn't advocating a hills line?
Yeah, look, the hills is a really challenging scenario. Cost and the availability of a corridor are the big challenges. So the existing rail corridor through the hills, there's certainly potential to bring that back. Cost being one of the barriers, but the other is that it's not a very direct route into Adelaide either, and whether there would actually be sufficient people using it when they could jump on a bus or jump in the car and head down the freeway and see a faster travel time. So, look, it is a bit of a challenge in that hills environment, but there's certainly public transport improvements that can be made, and really welcome the improvements and the additional buses that are starting to roll out between Mount Barker and Adelaide, and additional services throughout the hills. So, look, that is what we're seeing to make a positive difference, and certainly still more that can be done to increase that public transport link there as well.
Good stuff. Matt Vachudes, the Senior Traffic Engineer for the RAA. Thanks for joining us this morning, mate.
Speaking of traffic, the lights are out at the intersection of Grand Junction Road and Hanson Road. Delays building at the moment. Intersection of Grand Junction Road and Hanson Road. Delays are building. Before people get on the scene, that's always a pretty hairy experience, isn't it?
You just park your car and go and have a bowl of pho for breakfast.
That would be good. That's a nice idea.
I have it for breakfast in Vietnam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. It's an excellent breakfast, pho.
I had
pho, spelt pho, pronounced pho. How do you pronounce it, pho, when it's spelt
I had
pho?
pho in Ho Chi Minh City at a place that laid claim to being the place that Bill Clinton once had pho there. And
You're kidding?
Yeah, and there was all pictures on the walls of the day Bill Clinton went in there and had pho.
Yeah, right, with an arm around one of the waitresses.
I did. There was no photographic evidence of anything.
What are you doing after eating this
untoward
bowl
going
of
on,
honey?
Con's called into the program. Morning to you, Con.
Morning, how are you, boys?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Con.
We shifted in to Glen Osmond just near Seymour College 12 years ago, and just behind there, and there was no traffic coming up, bypassing whatever. Now, for us to get out of our street, we probably have to wait 4 or 5 minutes. Everybody's taking shortcuts because there's so much traffic on the road in the morning and down our way. And I think because you've got all the country towns that have people shifting out there, and they're all trying to get into town, it's just horrible.
Yeah, I think that's right, Con. Do we need to change our attitudes, though? Because as South Australians, we seem to think, well, I've got a car, my wife's got a car. My kids are going to get a car. When they're on their P's, they're going to get a car. You know, I thought it was absolutely stunning last Sunday night in Sydney, seeing of the 83,000 people who were at the Taylor Swift concert. I would hazard a guess that 70,000 of them, and Soph and I were two of them, walked out of Stadium Australia, and the queue, my God, we were just standing there going, we're going to be here till 3 o'clock in the morning. But within about an hour and a half, I reckon, everyone had left on the train. The train system there is stunning. And it's stunning because it's patronised. They know that they need one. But we're not at that big city point like, you know, New York City, Mexico City, you know, huge subway reliant cities where people know, you know, you're living in New York City, you're not driving a car. You know, you get in the subway everywhere. Yet here is our level of car ownership at a point where it's now higher than it should be for the city because we don't get on the trains. And also is there, and I'm sure he's listening, is the challenge for Tom Koutsantonis as the Transport Minister. Do we need to get to a point where our railway system is much more reliable and much more frequent?
I think we should also not be embarrassed to say one of the nice things about living here is you can own a car and get everywhere. Like it's you're kind of shamed if you have that point of view these days. It's actually one of the nice things about
you'll be shamed through the tax system soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to buy a car, exactly. But like, that's one of the when we talk about the lifestyle in Adelaide's great. It's code for
the half-hour city.
Exactly right. You can jump in your car, and you can get a park in the city, you can do all these sorts of things. Like we shouldn't just sort of give up on all that because
good point.
Elsewhere they've had to change. Like let's preserve what's great too.
Yeah.
Hey, you got some gluttony tickets to give away over there.
I do. Now, give us a call now. 9 News. How good's 9 News? If you give us a call now, if you watch 9 News... 9 News last night. You know, Brent Ragles and I, we're actually related to each other.
Are you?
He's married to my cousin. He's a great guy, great newsreader. So if you watch 9 News last night and you have the daily feature show, for your chance to win tickets for you and 3 friends, plus a $100 food and beverage voucher at Gluttony.
You thought you upset Rowey earlier.
I did. Well, I don't know if I did. I'm worried that I did. I'm going to send him a text. It's all thanks to 5AA, 9 News and Gluttony in Rymel Park, home of the biggest shows this fringe. Tickets from gluttony.net.au.
Get calling.
So hop to it. That's what you say.
That's the other bit.
Yeah, that's the other bit.
822-30055.
822-30055.
Someone's just texted in saying, best in the world, Adelaide, according to you two potatoes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Self-loathing Adelaide person on the line.
Potatoes. What type? Kifler? Pontiac? Golden Sweet?
I think they mean...
Is that a sledge, potatoes?
It's pretty clearly a sledge.
We've got Leslie from Albert Park on the line with the code word from 9 News last night. How are you, Leslie?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Are you into the arts, Leslie?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Have you seen anything yet?
No, I haven't been there at all this year. Haven't been since pre-COVID.
Oh, really? Well, this is your big chance to get back into the world of culture.
Sounds good.
Oh, so I ask you now, do you have the code word? That's what I do, isn't it? Yeah, have you got the code word?
I sure do. It's Simply Brill.
Excellent. Congratulations. Not bad am I doing these things. So, Leslie, the good news is that you've won a $100 food and bevy voucher and tickets for you and 3 friends to see Simply Brill on Sunday, March 17 in the Octagon at Gluttony in Rymel Park, home of the biggest shows this fringe. Tickets from gluttony.net.au.
Magnificent work. All right, let's check traffic thanks to Keezer. Are you tired of back pain? Well, try Keezer, KIESER.com.au.
Thanks, Will. At Kensington Gardens, Carvey motorcycle crash on McGill Road at Glenburn Road. At Eden Hill, smash on Shepherd's Hill Road near the Watunga Botanic Gardens. Wingfield lights out on Grand Junction Road at Hanson Road and also Richard Street due to a truck and a Stobie pile. And Mount Osmond speeds reduced on the freeway up track before the tunnels for works. Busy Brighton Road, Brighton. Slow Marion Road at Anzac Highway with a camera South Road at Edwardstown. It's festival time at Arundel Mall. Experience the best of Mall Fest and shop till 6 p.m. every Saturday this festival season with H&M, Glue, Nike and more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When Adelaide needs to know. 5AA News.
A house fire in the western suburbs is being treated as arson.
A man and a woman were shot in an underground car park on Green Hill Road just after 8 a.m.
There's a fire somewhere inside the building where they're renovating.
Live local.
Pink has given Adelaide Oval a glowing endorsement after wowing 60,000 fans.
Port Adelaide will have to wait until round 5 before seeing Sam Powell-Pepper play again.
Local news and information first.
The owners are still here, absolutely devastated.
5AA News. Always Adelaide.
On 5AA Mornings today, Premier Peter Malinauskas, your questions to the Premier. He'll be joining me in the studio from 9 o'clock. And a retired school principal says parents aren't teaching their children values, everyday humanity, how to be a good person and all the rest, expecting schools to take up the slack. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Those topics, a lot more, your calls as well. Look forward to your company from 9.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. Grab 3 Falcon Zeek ZE 310R passenger car tyres and get the 4th tyre absolutely free. Experience top-notch performance with exceptional grip on both wet and dry surfaces. Steer your way to citydiscounttires.com.au for even more great deals. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
You deserve a new car. And you definitely deserve a holiday. You could win a Mercedes and a luxury getaway to the Maldives. But you've got just 4 days until the bonus deadline in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the $3.6 million Scott Salisbury Grand Prize at Henley Beach. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14493.
Matty B loved popping monos on his sister's 3-speed Malvern Star. It was a beautiful bike, purple with neon pink tassels and a rainbow seat. But Matty B didn't care. He was popping monos all the way up the street without a care in the world. And he was unique like that. And that's when it came to him just before hitting a parked car.
That's right, Matty figured out how to make the best pie in the world, a promise he'd made to himself after tasting the worst pie in the world from a local tuck shop. And he got straight to work on it just after he got out of hospital.
Many years later, the best pies in the world go by the name Unique. A bit like Matty B. Get your unique pies, sausage rolls and donuts from your local independent supermarket or wherever awesome food is sold.
Unique, it's time for something better.
Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip, and now there's Barossa Mazda, Murray Street, Nuriutpa. SA's newest Mazda dealership is now open. For 40 years, Steinborner has provided South Australians with outstanding customer service, exceptional value, and a large selection of new, used, and demo vehicles. The Steinborner story continues with the opening of their new state-of-the-art Mazda dealership in Barossa Valley. Barossa Mazda. It's well worth the trip. barossamazda.com.au.
Ray White Business Sales. Business people selling businesses. Go on, touch base. Search RWC Business Sales.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
The person on the Dutton's text line who called us potatoes texted back in to say, yes, it's a sledge.
Well, it's good they're still listening.
No, that's good. We like that. Thank you. Appreciate all the feedback. Frank and forthright. Let's have a look at the fuel situation. Refuel for less and stay ahead of the cycle with the RAA app's new Fuel Trends feature. The trend is... it's not great. That said, there are some spots that are cheaper than elsewhere that we've spotted this morning. The United Grand Junction Road Rosewater's at $1.79.5. The Ampol North East Road Gillies Plains is at $1.78.3. The United South Road Melrose Park $1.76.3. The cheapest diesel, the OTR South Road at Ridleyton, $1.87.5.
Jeez.
87.5, yikes.
Crazy, isn't it?
Let's head out on the road, and that's where we find Jade Robberin. Jade, good morning to you again.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, listeners. Some exciting news. I know you guys have been touching on it today. A very big A-lister could be coming to town, none other than King Charles. So polish the fine bone china and dust off the plant-based whiskey, because the most powerful man in the UK could be coming to Adelaide, which is super exciting. It's been leaked that plans are underway for the monarch to pay us a visit, and that's despite his recent health concerns. Of course, we know he's been diagnosed with cancer just in the past month. Now, our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has said that the King, Queen and members of the royal family are always welcome in Australia, and that his government was engaging with states and territories on options for the itinerary. So that means that Premier Peter Malinauskas and Chief Ministers will be asked to pitch for the King to visit. Now, the King, he's made 15 official visits to Australia, most recently in 2018 to open the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, but his last trip to Adelaide was in 2015. Many of our listeners would remember that. He spent quite some time in the Barossa Valley region, checked out some local artworks there and community projects, then toured the Seppelsfield Winery. Then the King went to Bowden to check out the Prince's Terraces, which is a housing project that's funded by his charity, the Prince's Foundation for Building Community. And Charles's wife, Camilla, who was the Duchess of Cornwall at the time, now the Queen, she held a round table on domestic violence with the Australian of the Year, Rosie Batty. So even though the trip was only for a few hours, it was short, sharp, very shiny. They got a lot of things done. The Royals, they've been visiting SA here for 157 years. The first visit was back in October 1867 by His Royal Highness Prince Alfred, the Duke of Edinburgh. And the most recent visit was in November 2018 when the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, touched down here. But look, I took to the streets to ask whether we're excited or not that fussed about a visit from the King. Peter, are you fussed whether the King visits Adelaide or not?
No, not at all. I'm not a royalist, but he's welcome to come here if he likes.
So if the premiers have to pitch for why he should come to South Australia, have you got any ideas how we could get him over the line?
I'm sure there are royalists here, so if there's any sort of pitch line, maybe he can try and get him here to appeal to the royalist masses.
Bria, your thoughts on King Charles coming to Adelaide?
I'm not really too concerned. It doesn't really bother me.
Stephen, would you like to see the King in Adelaide?
Absolutely. Why not?
Do you like him?
I don't mind him.
I sense a little bit of a twang there and a little accent. Would that be right?
Absolutely. Born and bred in the UK, but Adelaide is now home.
So what does he mean to you then?
He's yet to find his role, in my view. It's a new role. He's learning, but why not get out and about and show us what he can do?
I'm here with Alyssa and Ricky. Guys, would you be fazed whether the King came to Adelaide or not?
Probably not.
Not really. He's just another person to me.
I might have cared if it was the Queen, but maybe not with the King.
Nick, would you like to see the King in our beautiful state?
Yes, I would.
Why is that?
I think he's how do you put it? He's still the King of England. He's still part of our regime, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and I think it'd be a brilliant idea for him to come over.
Well, we might find out very soon exactly where he's going to visit and when. We're also going to find out a bit from the Premier coming up with Matt Pantelis. He'll be live in the studio answering your questions. So if you've got something you want to speak with the Premier about, have 8223 0000 plugged into your phone and stay listening to Matt Pantelis next.
The King's never been to a showdown.
Well, that we
There's an idea.
There, now you're talking.
Yeah, get
I
him
like
on
that.
the showdown. Toss the coin.
All
Then
right.
he go and stand on the hill.
Hope Albo's still listening.
When you're gone, who gets the things most precious to you? Like your highly